Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Smith from Backbench Coder. So I'm back with another interesting project. This is a file sharing project made with MERN stack. So the backend is made using Node and Express. In the front end, I'm using Next.js, which is a React.js framework. For the database, of course, we are going to use MongoDB. And lastly, the whole project is wrapped with TypeScript. I love TypeScript. Okay, so let me just quickly show you the project. As you can see, this is a very simple user interface. The headline is got a file, share it like fake news. And then I have this Dropzone component. So currently you can only share this JPEG, PNG and MP3 type of files, but this is not a limitation. I have not just implemented that. You can surely implement this for any type of files, okay? So let me just drag and drop, or I can just click on this. Let's just select this MP3 file, this sound effect, click on open, and that's it. Click on upload, and the file is uploaded. Look at this. I have the details of the file. This is an MP3 file and the size is 0.01 MB. I have this message, great, the file is uploaded. Share this link with your friend, and then you can just copy this link if you click on this button. So copy the link and then just open a new tab. Let me just open a new tab and put it here. Cool. So from this page I can download the file. So click on this download and look at this. I have this file here. Let me just open this. And that's it. Just 1 second of sound. Anyway, look at this. You can also send the link through the email. So here just put your email. Let's say code.sumax@gmail.com, and then put the receiver's email here. So let me just copy another email, use and throw email. So just copy this and go here, put it here and click on email, and the email is sent. Let's just go back to a Gmail and refresh this. Look at this. I got my file. So from here I can also download. So click on this download. Go to download page, sorry. And then just click on download and it will be downloaded. Look at this. Fine. It seems like a small project, but you will get a solid idea about the MERN stack and Next.js with TypeScript. Oh, we are also going to deploy the project. Look at this. This is hosted on sharefile.vercel.app. So the frontend will be hosted in Vercel and the backend will be hosted in Heroku. Well, the concept of this project has come from the channel Padega India and Coders Gang. So if you want to make this project with HTML, CSS and Vanilla JavaScript, please check out those videos. But those tutorials are in Hindi, so if you are from India or you understand the language Hindi, you can check that out. I'll also put the links of those videos in the description box. Okay, so that's it for now. I know I'm missing something, but we are gonna surely cover that in the series. So see you in the next part. Bye. In this part, we are going to set up the backend of this project. So we are gonna create the backend using Express and TypeScript. And by the way guys, if you have not watched the introduction part of this project, please watch that to get an idea about the final product. Okay, and I'll put all the code in the description box. So if anything goes wrong in your project, you can just check that out. Okay, cool. So just go to a terminal. Let's create the project folder, share file. As simple as that. Just change directory to share file. Fine, just open this in your code editor. I'm going to use VS Code. So code dot. Cool. So inside this, I'm going to create two folders. One is backend and one is frontend. So the backend is server and another folder. Oh, my VS Code is slow. Damn slow. Finally, after 5 minutes, it has created my server folder. Anyway, just create another folder inside this root, which is client. So client. Nice. Just go inside the server folder. Just open the terminal. Just open the inbuilt terminal of VS Code. The shortcut is Ctrl J. Cool. Just go to the server. So cd to server. Fine. Clear. Nice. So let's just install the dependencies first. Before that, just initialize the npm. So npm init. The default one. So -y. Fine. I got that. Clear the terminal. And let's install the dependencies. So I'm going to use Express, codes and .env. These are the packages to set up our app. And then as the dev dependencies, so and npm i-d as the dev dependencies, I'm going to use TypeScript compiler, so tsc and ts node dev. This is kind of node mon for TypeScript project. So ts node dev. Okay, and then the TypeScript file. So types the Express one, so type /express and then the types node, so type/node and at the rate type/course. That's it. Enter. Yeah, cool. Just go to package.json and okay, cool. So inside the dependencies I have this course.env and express, and the dev dependencies I have this types course, types express, types node, and ts node dev, tsc, and TypeScript. Cool. Really cool. So now let's initialize the ts config file. So just use tsc -- init and it will initialize your ts config file. Look at this. Just go to this tsconfig.json file and we need to modify this. Fine. Just close the sidebar. Cool. So inside this compiler option, you have a lot of options. And the best thing is these are commented out. So whatever you need, just uncomment this. So target should be ES6 for our project. And then the module is CommonJS, that is fine. Then look at this out directory and the root directory. Just uncomment this. We don't need this right now, but we need this in future. So the out directory is the directory where the build is stored. So this should be build or dist, whatever you want. And the root directory is root directory, that is fine. Then just scroll down, strict is true. Then look at this, you have some more options like no implicit any, you can just uncomment these just for best practice. And then I have this no unused locals, you can also uncomment these. Okay. Anything else? Yes, module interrupt true, keep library check is true, and just leave this as default. Fine, save this. And now let's create the server. So just close this. Just go inside the server. Just go inside the server and create a file server.ts or index.ts or app.ts, whatever you want. But make sure this is in the server directory. Oh, this is not in the server directory. Just put it here. Fine. So Express, so import Express from Express. Just create the Express app first. Fine. Const app is just use the Express object. Cool. Just create the server. So app.listen, listen to a port which should be coming from the environment variables, right? So let's create the environment variable. So inside this server, let's create another file which is .env. Why it is not? Yeah, cool. Make sure this is inside the server. So inside .env, let's create the port. This is for now 8000 because my next step gonna run on 3000. So just make this 8000. Cool. With this, I also like to create another file which is .env.example. So that if someone forks my project or if someone clone my project, he should have an idea about what are the environment variables he need to set. So example, because I'm not going to push this .env file in my GitHub repository. So if someone forks my project, he will not get access to this .env file. So in that case, he will have access to this .env.example. So just set the key, no value. Fine. So this is a best practice. Cool. Just go to server.ts. So just grab this value using this process.env.port and listen to this port. And if this is successful, just log out. The server is listening. Server is, why is in caps? On port process.env.port. Why have not I put this in a const? Okay, so just cut this out. Just create a variable port and put it here. And now just substitute this with this. Cool. And now to get this environment variables, I need to configure this, right? So let's configure this. I've imported a .env package. So import .env from .env. Cool. Let's configure this. So .env.config. That's it. Nice. With that, let's also set up the codes. So import codes from codes, because I'm going to make a request from localhost 3000 and that is a defined URL. It will have a codes issue. Come on, codes, not .env. Codes. Let's set up the middleware. App.use course. Fine, just call this. Nice. And that should be it. My server should be running. Let's see, just go to package.json and remember we have installed this tsnode-dev package. Let's set up this. Let's set up a script. Just remove this test and let's make this dev, not colon dev. And then this is tsnode-dev and the name of our file is server.ts, right? So server.ts. That's it. Let's see. Let's go to a terminal. Make sure you are in the server directory. Clear this. Oh, by the way guys, look at this. Inside this tsnode-dev you can also pass a flag which is clear. You can pass a lot of flags. This is basically clears the previous log because that's irritating, right, to see the previous logs. Okay, that's it. Save this and now just run npm run dev. Let's see. Expand this and the server is running on port 8000. Fine. So that's it for this part. In the next video we are going to create the Mongoose model and test the API. Hey guys, welcome back to our project. In this video we are going to set up the database and create our Mongoose model. So just go to the browser and go to Mongo Atlas. That's our cloud MongoDB. Let's go to MongoDB Atlas and we need to create a new cluster. Click on the first link. Okay, let me just log in. You might need to sign up if you don't have an account. Let me just log in. code.smith@gmail.com. Next. Password, I don't know. Click on login. Fine. So here you need to create a new project. Click on this drop down. Click on this plus new project. The name of the project, CR file, ytube. Click on next. And then the project owner, just leave this as default. You are the project owner. Click on create project. And that's it. Click on this build a cluster. Just choose the free one. Click on this create a cluster. And then a cloud provider, just leave this as default. AWS is fine. And then select your region. I'll be going for Mumbai because I live in India. And then cluster tier, this is just default. The name of the cluster 0, that is fine. Click on create cluster. Cool, so it will take around 5 minutes to create the cluster. Meanwhile, let's set up the network and database. So click on this database access. And then click on this add new database user. Cool. Here just put your name. So Sumit. Then enter password. I'll be going for auto-generate secure password. So just click on this and then just copy the password somewhere. Put it somewhere. So just go to .env here. Just put it because I need to come back to this .env file in a minute. And then just scroll down and click on add user. That's it. Look at this. It is deploying our changes. So now just go to network access. Click on this network access, click on this add IP address. For now just select this allow access from anywhere and then click on confirm. The status is pending. It is still pending. Meanwhile you just go to a terminal and install the Mongoose package because that's the ORM we are going to use. Just go to a terminal. Just create another terminal. I've just hit this plus icon to get a new terminal. Okay, cool. So just go to server and just install Mongoose. Cool. Let's see. The status is still pending. Oh, now active. Just go to database access and this is deployed. Just go to cluster and let's see. Oh yeah, cool. Click on this connect. We need to get the connection URL. Just select this connect your application and then just copy the URL. Just go to .env file and let's create a variable. Let's say Mongo URI or URL Mongo URI equal to this URL. And now we need to change something. So the database user is Sumit and the password is the copied password. The auto-generated password. Oh, just cut it and put it here. Nice. And then you can change the database name like my first database. You can change this, but that's fine for me. Just save this, and now let's create a function that will connect our app to a database. So just go inside the server folder. Let's create a folder which is config. Okay, inside this config, let's create a file which is db.ts, database.ts. Fine. Okay. Make sure my server is running. Cool. Just close the sidebar, not bar, sidebar. Okay, so just import the Mongoose from Mongoose. Just import the Mongoose package from Mongoose. Nice. And now let's create a function. I'll be going for the arrow function because I love arrow functions. I love everything. ConnectDB is the name of the function. It will not get any parameter, but this would be an asynchronous function because I'm going to make some asynchronous call inside this function. Okay, so they handle the error inside this asynchronous function. Just make a try catch block. Cool. So we need to use the mongoose.connect function that will connect our app. Here you need to pass the URL. So how can you get the URL? Just grab this using process.env.mongoURI. So just copy the key MongoURI, or it should be Mongoose URI. Oh, db.ts. Put it here. Nice. And then after that you need to put some options. So just press Ctrl and space. This will activate the TypeScript intelligence. So just use create index, that is true, and then use new URL parser, which is true, and then use find and modify, this is also true, and then use unified topology, this is also true. That's it. And if anything goes wrong, just catch the error and log out the error. So something like connection error, and put the error dot message. Fine. We have some error here. This is oh, it can be undefined. So this is the error from TypeScript. So just use exclamation. Just save this. Cool. I'll be also checking if the connection is already established or not. So for that, just go outside this try catch block and check the connection status. So const connection, which is mongoose.connection. Cool. So here inside this if block, just check if the connection, the ready state is greater than 1. It means this is connected to database. So just log out connected to database and return. Cool. And if it is not 1, I'll also listen to an event. So connection dot on. Oh, on buddy. If any error occurs, so just listen to the error event. If anything goes wrong, just log out something like connection failed. So log connection failed. Save this. Something is wrong. Oh, this is not ConnectDB, buddy. That's the beauty of TypeScript. Look at this. The on does not exist on this ConnectDB. So just use connection. That's it. Save this. And now just export this function. I can just use export default ConnectDB. Cool. And now just go to server.ts and import this function. So at the top, I can just call this ConnectDB should be auto imported. Look at this, auto imported from .config/db, and just call this function. And look at this, this is connected to database. Cool. And now let's create the schema. Hey, by the way guys, if anything goes wrong in your connection, just don't panic. Just read out the message, Google this, just go to Stack Overflow, just go to my comment section, do whatever you want. Oh, I'm on the package.json. Why? I don't know why I'm on this package.json. Anyway, just close this. And now let's create the schemas. So inside this server, let's create a folder which is models. So what model I really need? Basically, I just need the file model. Just see the deployed version. Look at this. If I just upload a file, let's say this one, let's say upload. Look at this. What are the fields I need? First of all, I need the file name and then the file format so that I can render this image, and then the file size. Cool. Then I need the secure URL, and then I need two fields to store the email address. One is for the sender and one is for the receiver. You can also store the timestamps, but that is not needed. Okay, so let's just go to the code and let's create the schema. Inside this modules, let's name this file F in capital for the naming convention, because this is a model and it is a class. Cool. So import Mongoose from Mongoose. Let's create the schema. So const schema is mongoose.schema. Put it here. Let's create the schema. So file schema. This is a new schema. This is not scheme. This is new schema. Inside the constructor, just pass an object. So file name or first value, this should be a string. So just use types. Why my intelligence is not working? Type is string, and this is required, right? So required is true. Cool. Just put a comma and copy this. So what do we need? We need a secure URL or the URL. I'll be going for secure URL because I'm gonna store the assets in the Cloudinary, right? So the Cloudinary gives you secure URL, so that's why I'll be putting secure URL. This is just the URL of the file. And then I need the file format. So just I can copy this. The third one is format, and the fourth one is the size in bytes. Because again Cloudinary returns the size in bytes, so size in bytes, and this is type string. Okay. Oh, it should not be small string, this should be capital string, buddy. So just this string class. Cool. Save this. Nice. And then I need a sender, which should also be a string, but this should not be required because the user might not send the file through the email. And then a receiver, just duplicate this. Receiver. Save this. You can also store the timestamps. So to store the timestamps, you can just put another object and just use timestamps true. Cool. And by the way guys, I'm also using TypeScript, so let's use the TypeScript. What I'm gonna do, I'm going to create an interface using these fields. So interface, the name of the interface is ifile, I for the interface, again naming convention, and it should have all the properties of Mongoose document, right? So just extend the document, not documents, document should be auto imported from Mongoose. Let's see, at the top it is not imported, so just import this document. Cool. So let's just include the fields. So file name, it should be a string, and then secure URL, which should be a string again, size in bytes or bytes, this should be a string, format, this should be a string, sender, this should be a string again, and the receiver, this should also be a string, but the sender and the receiver is optional, so just use this question mark, so it means it is optional. And now just wrap the model with the TypeScript and export this. So export, just default, just create the model. So mongoose.model, here just name of the model is file, and the schema I'm going to use is file schema, right? So just copy the schema and put it here. But where is the TypeScript? You can use this TypeScript as a generic. So inside this model, just use this angle bracket and just pass the ifile interface here. Oh, ifile. That's it. Save this. Cool. So our model is ready. Again, we have created a file model. Here we have just included the file name, secure URL, format, size in bytes, sender, and receiver. Okay. And then we have set the types. Again, we have created an interface which has all these properties. This will be highly used later in this project. And then we have just wrapped this model with TypeScript and exported this. So now I can create the API and test the API. So that's it for now. In the next part, we are going to create the API and the routes. So see you in the next video. Bye. Cool. So in this video, we are going to create the API to upload our file. So basically just look at the deployed app. So let me just select a file, again the music file, click on upload, and it will return me this download link, or I should say the download page link. So if I just copy this, just go to a tab and put it here, and then it will give me the file. So basically I need to create total 4 API endpoints. First one is to upload this file, and then second one is to email the file, okay, and the third one is to get the file. And look at this is a client side, right? This request is being made from the next step. So in the server side, in the server side rendering, it is checking if the file still exists or not. So let's say the ID is different. Instead of 2, this is some gibberish. So if I now press enter, the file does not exist, right, with this ID, and in that case I should say, oops, file not found. So I need to check with this ID if the file does exist or not, and if it exists, I should again get the download link, and then if I click on this download, the file should be downloaded. So that's our fourth API. So again, one API endpoint to upload the file, second one is to email the file, third one is to check if the file does exist or not during the server side rendering, and the fourth one is to download the file. Cool. So let's just go to the code editor. Inside the server, I'll be creating another folder which is routes. You can create a separate folder for the controller, but I only have 4 routes and 4 controllers, so I don't need to create another folder. Okay, so inside this routes, let's create a file which is files.ts. Enter. Cool. Oh, by the way, inside this upload router, I need to handle the file, and to get the file inside this Express app, I'll be using the multer package, and then to store the files, I'll be using Cloudinary. So before I write any code, let me just install the packages. So inside this bash terminal, let's install multer and the Cloudinary. Cloudinary comes with TypeScript, but the multer does not come with the TypeScript. So just install the TypeScript declaration file of this multer. So and npm I as the dev dependencies @types /multer. Cool. Now something is wrong in db.ts. What is that? Mongoose. Can't find Mongoose. What happened? Just install the Mongoose again. Anyway, just go to files.ts and let's create the routes. So import Express from Express so that I can use the Express router. Let's create the router. So const router, just grab the router object, so express dot router. Cool. So I can just use router.get, router.post, and all of this. But before that, just export the router as default. I always forgot that. And now I can just use router.get. Router.get. Oh, not router.get, because I'm going to upload a file, so it should be router.post. And now I can just set the endpoint as /API/upload, or I can use the /API as the base endpoint and then just use /upload. So /upload. Cool. Just get the request and response. Fine. So I need to grab the file, right? So for that I'm going to use multer. So just import multer from multer. Oh wow, not module. Why module? Multer from multer. Cool. This is really simple because I'm going to store the assets in the Cloudinary, so I don't need to configure multer at its best. We also don't need to check the file types because we are going to allow all types of files. So basically let's create the storage. So const storage is multer.dstorage. Fine, just pass an empty object. Cool. Let's create the upload object. So upload, just call the multer, and here inside this object just pass the storage. Fine. So this is basically going to use the TMP, which is our temporary storage in our app.local. That's not a big deal. And now just call this as a middleware. So just call this upload.single, because I'm going to allow single file, and the name of the field of that file which is coming. So let's say my file or file, whatever you want, my file. So basically this would be the name of the file during the request from the client side, my file. And now just put a try catch block and check here if the file is present or not. So if request.file is not there, so not request.file, just return with a response.status code 500 or just 400 and send a message like, hey bro, we need the file. And if anything goes wrong, just log out the error or error.message. Cool, save this. Nice. And response with a status code res.status 500 and just pass a message something like server error. Fine. And now let's implement the main code. So for now just log out the file and let's see what is coming. Request.file. Cool. And by the way guys, notice that this file has a type which is express.multi.file, so this is automatically set by TypeScript. It means if you just put request.file dot and you will get all the properties. So that's the best thing about TypeScript. Okay, just save this and now let's just test this endpoint. Just go to server.ts and set this endpoint. So as I told you, I'm going to use /API/files as a base. So app.use as a middleware /API/files and then just put this function. So comma file route should be auto imported. Oh no, wow. So just manually import this. Import from ./route/ look at my VS code. This is not even giving me the path intelligence. So just import this as file route. Just copy this, or file route. Just copy this and put it here. Nice. Okay, so I'll be getting this as the form data, right? So for that I also need to set the URL encoded true. So before this, let's use app.use express.json. Let's call this, and then app.use express.url encoded and just pass extended as true. That's it. Save this and now let's go to Postman. Let's create a new request. The endpoint is localhost 8000, right? So just copy this. Just go to browser for a second and put localhost 8000 and copy the URL. Just go to Postman and put it as the base endpoint and then /API/files/upload, and it should be a post request. So we'll just make this post. And by the way guys, I don't know how to increase the font in Postman, so I'm sorry for that. Anyway, just click this body, click this form data, and then the key. It should be same as this multer key, which is my file. Just let me show you. This one is my file. So just copy this and set the key as my file, and the value, oh, it should be the type of file. So just click the file and then select files. Let's say again this music. Click on send and server error. Oh, I know why, because I have not written anything. But just go to the console and look at this. I have my file. The request is still on because I have not written anything from this route. Anyway, so I have this file, right? So field name is my file, original name, I need to store this original name, and then this MIME type, we don't need that because I'll get the type from the Cloudinary URL, and then all of these stuff like size and all. Okay, look at this, the path where the file is saved. This is temporarily saved in appdata/local. Cool. And now let's set up the Cloudinary so that we can store our files. Just go to a browser, just search for Cloudinary. If you are not familiar with Cloudinary, this is a file storage. You can use this as a CDN, you can use this as image optimizer. This is really beautiful. Anyway, just go to Cloudinary. You can sign up for free. This is a really simple process, so just sign up for free. I already have an account, so just click on login. Cool. Just click on sign in, and that's it. You will have the API key and the API secret, and that's all you need to connect your app with the Cloudinary. Look at this account details, this API key, API secret, and API environment variable. We need all these three values. So again, this should be secret. So just go to .env file and create .env variables. Oh, inside this .env, Cloudinary underscore API underscore key. I need to put the key, and then API secret, and the third thing is API env. So API env variable. Okay, and now just put the values. API key, copy to clipboard. Just go here and put it. Secret, just copy to clipboard and put it here. And then the environment variable, just copy this, just put it here. I guess I don't need this API environment variable, so just remove this. Instead, we need this cloud name. Yeah, this cloud name. Just copy this, and then let's get another variable, which is Cloudinary API underscore cloud, and just put the cloud name. Fine, that's it. And now remember, I told you that I also maintain a .env.example file. So just put these keys inside this .env.example. Cloud, and also the Mongo URI. Fine, save this, close all the files. And now we need to configure the Cloudinary, right? But before that, just make sure you have installed a Cloudinary package. Just go to package.json and have this Cloudinary, right? Cool. So just go to server.ts. Here I need to configure our Cloudinary, right? So just import Cloudinary, but we are going to import the version 2. So import from Cloudinary, but the version 2, so v2 as Cloudinary. Cool. This is really simple. So cloudinary.config, just pass an object. This is a cloud name. It should be coming from the environment variable. So process.env. The name of the cloud name is, the key is Cloudinary API cloud, and then I need to set the API key. So API underscore key. This is again process.env.Cloudinary API key. Just copy this, put it here, and the third thing is API secret, and this is again process.env.Cloudinary API underscore secret. That's it. And now just go inside the route. Here I need to upload the file. Again, I need to import the Cloudinary, so just copy the import statement, go to server.ts and copy this Cloudinary import statement, go to files.ts and put at the top. Cool. So after getting the file through the multer, I am going to upload the file. So just use a try catch block, try catch inside the try catch. Oh, I guess inside this db.ts I have not used the await, so mongoose.connect, it should be await. Come on. I guess you have noticed that. So just change this. Again, go back to files.ts. So cloudinary.uploader.upload. Inside this function, I can pass the file path. So request.file.path, and then I can pass some additional configuration option. So here I'll be passing the folder name because I want to organize the files inside a folder. So folder, the name is CRME or CRME YouTube. It should be under a string, so just put it under a string. And then this is important, which is resource type. I don't know why TypeScript is not showing that, but the resource type should be auto. It has to be auto, else it will only accept the images and the videos. But inside this project we are going to accept all the other types of files, so it has to be auto. Okay, That's it for now. So this is asynchronous call, so just use await. I also need to make the function async, so just go at the top and make this async. Cool. And now just load these files. So let's create a variable. Let's say uploaded file, and it has a type of upload API response, which should be coming from the Cloudinary. Yep, should be auto imported. Look at this, upload API response is auto imported. Cool. So just grab this file inside this variable. Nice. And if anything goes wrong, just log out the error. Okay, Cloudinary gives you a descriptive error, so just don't worry about that if anything goes wrong. A response with a status code 400. The error message is Cloudinary error. Cool. Save this, and that's it for now. Okay, just close this try catch block. I have this uploaded file, right? Cool. And now I can store the file in my model. So I need to grab the original name from the multi-file object. So const just destructure request.file. So original name, control and space, nice. And then from the uploaded file, which is the object of Cloudinary, uploaded file, I need some values. First one is secure URL. It will give me the URL, and then the bytes, which is the bytes in size, and then the third one is format. Cool. Save this, and now just save this in our database. So let's say const file, just use the await because it's an asynchronous call. File should be auto imported from model. Yep, auto imported. File.create, just pass an object. And by the way guys, there are a couple of ways to save the data in the Mongoose. One is to use the constructor of this model, and the second one is this create method. So just pass the value, file name, and if you just press Ctrl and space, the TypeScript will give you the hint. Look at this file name, just pass the original name, and then size in bytes. This is the bytes. Secure URL, the key and the value is same, so I don't need to pass the value. Come on, my VS Code. And the third thing is format. Again, the key value is same, so I don't need to pass the value. Cool. Just send this data. So res.status code 200 if everything is fine, not 2000. .json. Inside this JSON, just pass the file. We're gonna come back and modify, but for now, just test this endpoint. Let's save this. Server is running on port 8000, connected to database. And now just go to Postman. Let's make the request again. So just click on send. And wow, look at this, we got our data. Like the ID field, this is automatically created by Mongoose, and then the file name, which is swipehooks, and then size in bytes, the secure URL. So if I just copy this URL and go to browser, I should get my MP3. Okay, just copy this URL, go to a browser, just remove this quotes, this Cloudinary quotes, and press enter. I should get my MP3. And look at this. Click on this play. Push. Nice. Also just go to Cloudinary and then click on this media library. And look at this share me UI tube. This is a folder we have created through the API. So you don't need to create the folder manually. Just click on this share UI tube. And look at this, I have my file. Cool. But as the response from this API, we are not going to send the whole file object. Instead, we need to create the download page link, and then we need to send that. Because again, look at this. If I just upload a file, I should get this link. And look at this link. This is https://sharefile.varsal.app. So this should be created in runtime, right? So in the localhost, it should be localhost 3000. In the production, it should be sharefile.varsal.app. You got it. So basically, I need to put this URL in a .env variable. So again, just go to .env and create a key, something like API base endpoint for the client, and just put the localhost 3000 for now, because my next step is gonna run on localhost 3000. Just copy this and put it, save this, also put this in the .env.example. Fine. Just go to API, this file/upload, API/file/upload, and here I'll not send the whole file object, but I'll only set two values. One is the file ID, and second is the download page link. So ID is file._id. That's how MongoDB creates the ID. And the second thing is download link or download page link, whatever. Look at the format again. This is where it is. This is a client base endpoint and then /download and then the file ID, right? So let's create that. Let's use template string, then dollar, here process.env dot, let's put it here, then download, cause our client also has the slash at the end, download / the file ID. So dollar again, file._id. Cool. Save this and let's see. Let's go to Postman, click on send. Oh, something went wrong. Connection refused. My server is not running. Oh, now my server is running. Click on send again. And look at this. I have the ID and the download page link which is generated in runtime. So that's it. This is one of the fundamental part of this project, to upload a file and get the download page link. So yeah, let me just push the code to the GitHub and I'll put the link in the description box. Till then, see you in the next video. Bye. Hey guys, welcome back to our project. In the last part, we have created the API to upload a file, and now let's go to Frontend and implement that. So in this part, we are going to set up the Frontend using Next.js, TypeScript and Tailwind. Okay, so just go to a code editor. Inside VS Code, just go to client, cd to client. Cool. Let me just expand this. Okay. So look at this, I'm inside the client. Clear this. Nice. Now creating the Next.js project with TypeScript and Tailwind is little bit boring and also time taking. So I'm gonna provide you a boilerplate. So just go to a description and you can see this repository link, and then inside this repo, from this branch, just select this Next.js and Tailwind. Just select this. So just copy this URL. I'll put this URL in the description box, and then go to your terminal. Make sure you are in the client folder, and then just run npx create next app, and then just pass the example. So -e, so it takes an example flag, then pass the URL which is the example, and then just press dot. Dot means create the app inside this client folder, and press enter. That's it. Basically, I have created this boilerplate because I like this stack, this Next.js, Tailwind and TypeScript, and I need to use this a lot. So that's why I have created the boilerplate. Fine. So it has created the app. Just look at this client. Fine. And now just run this server using npm run dev. So let it run. And meanwhile, let me just describe this folder structure. Cool. So inside this client, the first one is node modules, which I guess you know what it is. And then I have this public folder. This will be served as static. So whatever files you put inside this public folder will be served as static. It means we are going to put all the images inside this public folder. And then I have this source. Okay, this is interesting. Look at this. Inside this source folder, I have two folders. One is component and the second one is pages. Components is the components. All the components will be stored inside this components folder. For example, we have this delete.tsx. This is a component and the name is delete.tsx because I am going to delete this. This is nothing but a simple component. And then I have this pages folder. So basically, Next.js works with file-based routing. So every file inside this pages folder is a separate route. For example, this index.tsx is the home route. And then if you create another file, something like download.tsx inside this pages folder, that will be served as a separate route. And we are going to see that in detail, don't worry. And then I have this _app.tsx. This is one of the important file of Next.js. This _app is basically the heart of Next.js. Every page component renders through this _app. Look at this component. This component is our page. Okay, so if you need to manage any global state, you can do this inside this _app. Okay, we are going to come back to this. And then I have this API folder. This is an interesting part of Next.js. So basically inside this Next.js, you can create your own API. That is called serverless function. So whatever file you create inside this API folder will be served as a separate endpoint. And how? Let me show you. Look at this hello.ts and it returns name John Doe, right? So now if I just go to browser Just go to localhost 3000 /API/hello, and it should return you name John Doe. Look at this, name John Doe. And by the way guys, we don't need this API folder because we have already created the API inside this Express app, inside the server, so we don't need this. Just delete this. Cool. And then add the styles folder. So all the styles like CSS or .sass file will be stored inside the styles folder. We are going to use Tailwind CSS, so we don't need any custom CSS, but still if we need any custom CSS, we are going to define this inside this global.css. Okay, fine. Just don't worry about this Tailwind directives now. Okay, I'm going to tell you what it is in a minute. Okay, and then I have this .env.example, which is the .env file. No, this is not the .env file. In Next.js, you create the environment variables in a file which is .env.local. So let's create that file inside the client. Let's create a new file which is .env.local. Cool. I don't need to add any variables right now, so just close this. Cool. And then I have this .gitignore, then this next env which you don't need to worry, then package.log.json, then this package.json. Look at this package.json. Here I have this three script. Yep, this three script, one is dev, one is build, and other one is start. So dev means run the development server, which we are currently running, and then the build, which is next build. So it will build your project, and then start. Start means it will run your production ready server. Okay, that's it. And then the dependencies, look at this, it is under the hood using React and React DOM. Obviously it's a React framework. Okay, cool, pretty cool. And then I have this plan.md, which I don't know what it is, just delete this. And then I have this post CSS, Tailwind config. Okay, this two file is important for the Tailwind CSS. So basically inside this post CSS.config file, I am using a plugin which is Tailwind GIT, which is in beta mode. Tailwind GIT means just in time, which is much faster than the normal Tailwind. And then I have this Tailwind config.js. All the Tailwind configuration will go here. So right now we are currently purging the .tsx and .ts file. Purging means remove all the unnecessary CSS. Okay, so just check all the tsx and ts file of this source folder. That's pretty much it. And then I have this tsconfig.json. This is the heart of TypeScript. Okay, this is pretty simple stuff, but one thing to notice, which is this base URL and the path. This is called path alias. So basically I am mapping all the files inside this source/components folder to this @components. Now what is the profit? Basically it removes all the relative paths and let us use the absolute path. How? Let me show you. Just go to index.tsx and look at this. It is using the delete component, but look at the import statement. This is using @components/delete. But if we don't use the path alias, we need to import this using .. Or let me just remove the whole lot of stuff, or let me just comment out. Okay, so .. need to go to components/delete, right? But with this we can just use @, so it removes all the relative paths. This is super useful for a bigger project. Okay, so just uncomment this. That's a trick. Okay, that's it. And now my server is running, and let's see the boilerplate. Localhost 3000. Yeah, cool. So everything is running fine. And now let's start designing the front end. So let's go to code editor. First of all, I'm going to import all my static files. So let me just copy a folder, copy these images and go to public and put it here. I'll provide you all these images, so just go to a description box and download the images folder and then put this inside this public folder. Cool. So these are all the images I'm going to use inside this project. You can use icon, not a big deal. And then one more thing I want to do before I start creating the front end, which is just go to tailwind.config.js, and here I need to add a color. So basically this yellow color which I am using here, this yellow color is not available in Tailwind, so I need to manually add that. So for that, let's see how to add an extra color. Just go to Tailwind docs, colors, yeah, customizing colors. Okay, just scroll down. Where is that? Yep. So inside the theme, inside the extend, I can add the color. So just copy this color object and go to a configuration file. Inside this theme, inside the extend, just put it nice. So this color is blue and I want yellow, and the weight of the color, so this is light, and the value of the color, which is F3, F7, FD. Save this. Cool. Oh, we don't need the code. Fine. So that's it. That's all the configuration for the front end. And now just close all the files and let's start creating the front end. Let's go to _app.tss first, and here I need to set the base CSS styling. For that, just look at our production ready app. Okay, look at this. We have a background color, and then all the elements are in center, both horizontally and vertically. So let's do it first. Just go to localhost 3000 and make this side by side. Okay, fine. Cool. First of all, just wrap this component with a div, and then we are going to add all the classes inside this div. I mean all the tailwind classes inside this div. Okay, just save this. Fine. And then just add class name on this div. First of all, set the height to full screen. So height screen, it means height 100 viewport height. And then just change the font. So font serif. Fine. Then change the background color, so it will affect all the pages. BG gray 900. Fine, just save this. Actually, let me just go to index.tsx and remove all these elements. Let's go to index.tsx. You know what, just remove this delete. Just remove this delete import, and then we don't need this class names also. Just remove this. Fine. Just add a heading, something like got a file, said like fake news. Yep. Save this, and now just go to _app.tsx and apply the other styles. Let me just, yeah, fine. Okay. Just change the text color. So go to _app.tsx. The text is white, and then we need to make this horizontally and vertically centered. And the best way to do that is using grid. So just use grid and then place item center. Place item center. Fine. Save this, and it should be horizontally and vertically centered. Let's see. Yeah, cool. And now I'll wrap this component with another div. Why? Because some component might return multiple elements in a React fragment. In that case, this grid center will not work. So I'll explicitly make this a single div. Fine. Save this. Cool. And now just go to index.tsx and let's see. Okay, so how this homepage gonna look? Let's see our deployed version. Okay, so I have this heading, and then under this I have this Dropzone component, and then if I upload a file, for example this one, it will create another div with this file details and then another button. So basically I'm gonna create a header and then a second div. Inside this div I'll put this Dropzone component and then this details and this upload button. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so inside this h1 just put another div. Here I'll put the Dropzone component. Let's comment this out, and then I render the file which I have uploaded, which I have selected, and then upload button. Comment this out. Cool. Let's make this side by side and let's try the design. Fine. So target this parent div. We need to make this flex, right? So target this inner div, add some class name. Let's add the width around 96. It will not be shown because I don't have any content, so just add this, just uncomment this Dropzone. With 96 I need to make this flex and flex column because I want the column direction, and then horizontally centered, so item centered. Fine, save this. Cool. Save this Dropzone here. Nice little Dropzone. And now let's add a different background color. So BG gray 800. Just save this. Cool, I got the gray color. I want to add some box shadow, so shadow XL. I also want to make the corner rounded, so just use rounded. That's the beauty of Tailwind CSS. Everything is there, so rounded XL. Cool. Also make justify content center, so justify center so that it is vertically centered as the direction of the flex is column. My VS Code is damn slow. Just save this. Cool. Just go to this age one and add some class name. So class name. Just add some margin bottom, so MY4. Increase the text size, so text 3XL, and then just change the font weight, so font medium or semi bold medium, that is fine. And then just target this parent div and add some class name. This is again I need to make the flex direction column, so flex column. Just convert this to a flex box, and then horizontal and vertically centered, so item centered and justify centered. That's it. Save this. Okay, I think that's all for this part. We have created a solid base for the front end. In the next part, we are going to create the Dropzone component. Okay, so again guys, all the codes will be available in the description box. So if anything goes wrong in your project, just check that out. Or you can just comment down. I'm always active in comment section. So that's it. See you in the next video. Bye. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this part, we are going to create the React Dropzone component. So in the last part, we have created this. I got a file, shared like fake news, and then this Dropzone div. But we have not really implemented that. So in this part we are going to create that. Okay, so first let's see how it works. This is my Dropzone component. I can either drag and drop the file, or if I just click on this, it will let me select JPG, PNG or MP3 files. So let me just select this PNG. Fine. Okay, so here I have the details of the file, the PNG image, the name of the file and the size of the file, and then this upload button, right? So let me just try to drag and drop, because this is more interesting. Okay, so let me just drag a MP3 file, drag, and look at this. The border turns into green. That means the file is acceptable. So just put it here and look at this. I have the details. It's an MP3 file and the name of the file and the size of the file. And now let me just drag a video file to this Dropzone component. Okay, look at this. The text is, sorry, this app only supports images PDF and MP3. This app does not support PDF, but that's a typo issue. And then look at this, the border turns into red, and that means the file is not acceptable. Okay, so if I drop it here, look at this, the file is removed. So that's the functionality we need to implement. Cool. So for that we need to install the Dropzone component. So let's go to browser and type npm i react Dropzone. This is a very popular package. I mean really popular package. Let's select the first one. Cool. Look at the weekly downloads. I mean it's huge. So at this usage, the basic example, pretty good. Yeah. I'll also put the documentation. So just let me go to a documentation. I'll also put the documentation link in the description box. If anything goes wrong, you can just check that out. Although I'm sure that you are not gonna check the documentation. Yeah, this is the documentation. So basically we need to import this use Dropzone. It's a hook and it returns me all the properties, and then basically it returns me the property getters, and then I can pass the property getters to the div and the input. Let's do that. So just go to your code editor and install this. Just split the terminal. Make sure you're in the client directory, so just cd to client. Let me just copy the installation code. npm install save react Dropzone. Copy this, put it here. Fine. Okay, so we are going to render this Dropzone component inside this home page in place of this Dropzone. So let me just create a component. Just go inside this components folder and also delete this delete component. We don't need this. Okay, inside this components folder, let's create a component. Let's name this Dropzone component .tsx. Let's create a boilerplate functional component. So RFC. My VS Code is damn slow. Finally, RFC, and just return something like Dropzone. For now, just go to index.tsx and import this component. Remove this. Should be auto imported. So Dropzone component and auto imported. At the top you can see that it is imported from @components and because of that path alias, the TypeScript trick. Cool. So inside this Dropzone component, I'm gonna define the Dropzone. Fine. So just import the use Dropzone from React Dropzone. So imp Just import the use Dropzone hook. Use Dropzone, cool. And then just call this hook. So const, it will return me some properties. Use Dropzone, call this. Here I can pass some configuration. We're gonna see that. Okay, so what it returns? It returns a lot of stuff. But what we need now is this get root props property getters, and the second one is this get input props. Cool. So basically we need to pass these property getters to the div and the input. So let's define the div. Inside this parent div, let's add another div, and then inside this div I'll put the input. That will be hidden. So just pass the get root properties. So inside a curly brace dot dot dot, just press the properties. So get root props. Just call this cause it's a property getter, and then input. Inside this input, just do the same. This is get input props. Cool. Just save this, and that's it. Just type something like drag and drop files. Just let me add some tailwind classes so that you can see this better. Just go to a div, put some classes, just set the height to 80 unit, which is 320 pixel, and the width to full. So it's full. Save this, and now let's see. Let's run this server. My server is running fine. Just go to the app, go to localhost 3000, refresh the page, and look at this. I have my Dropzone component. If I click here, I got my file. I can also drag and drop. But how can you log the files? For that, you need to pass a callback function which is onDrop. So just go to a documentation. Look at this. We need to pass this onDrop. Let me just make the font. So you need to pass this onDrop, and this onDrop has to be a callback function. And also notice that the function is created using this use callback hook, which is used for performance optimization in React. This is very rarely used hook, but quite efficient. I mean, whenever it is used, it is quite efficient. Okay, so basically this function get all the files, I mean whichever files is accepted by this Dropzone component, and then you can do all these stuff there inside this function. Let's do that. Let's go to a code editor. So use callback. Cool, that's a shortcut. I need to import the callback from React. Fine. Since at the dependency array we don't have anything, and then inside this callback I'll get a parameter which is accepted files, and just log that out for now. So log accepted files. Cool. Just get this callback in onDrop, and then just pass this onDrop as onDrop. In ES6, if the key and the value is same, you don't need to pass the value. As simple as that. So yeah, cool. Let's see. It should log something. Just go to localhost 3000, go to console, and now just click on this div. Just select a file. Yep, got it. Look at this. I have this file. This is basically an array of files, and then the first element is our file. So details about our file. So the name, path, size, type, and all of this. Okay. And now our app only accepts one file at a time. So let's also add that in the configuration object. Just go to a code. Okay. After this onDrop, just put a comma, and I'm gonna pass multiple as false, because multiple by default is true. So by default it accepts multiple files, which we don't really want. Cool. And now let's add some validation. Currently our Dropzone component accepts any type of files, but we don't really want that. We only want to accept the JPG, PNG, and MP3 files, right? So we need to add the validation. But before that, I want to add the styles, so that if anything goes wrong, I can show the red border, and if everything is fine, I'll show the green border. Let's do that. Okay, so just go to a parent component and add some padding around 4 unit, and then under this I have the main div which holds the Dropzone. Let's add some more classes here. So add rounded border, and the cursor should be pointer, and on focus I don't want to show any outline none. Cool. And then just target this input. We don't need to add anything because this is by default hidden. Okay, so under this I want to wrap this p tag with a div, because look at this, we need to show an image, and then this drag and drop, and then under this I have a subtitle, something like only JPEG, PNG and MP3 files are supported and all this stuff. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so inside this div I need to show image, and this image is gonna come from our static files. Remember in the last video I have given you this images folder. So from this images folder I want to select this folder.png. If you have not downloaded the images folder yet, I'll put the link in the description box, so please download that. Okay, so just select /images /folder.png. Cool. The alternate tag is folder. Fine, close the sidebar, add some class name. Basically want to add the height and the width. So height is 16 and width is also 16. Save this, let's see. Close the sidebar. Yeah, we got our image. Make this side by side. Fine. Cool. Let's decrease the font size. Okay, so under this p tag, I'll put another p. I'll just copy this text, like only PNG, MP3 and all. So just put it here. Add some class name on this p tag. Just add some margin top. The text size is base, and just change the text color. So text gray 300. Fine. Just save this. Just target this parent div, this one which holds our images and all these p tags. Just target this div and add some class name. So it should be a flex box, but the flex direction should be column. And then just make the items horizontally centered, so item center. Also make the elements vertically centered, so justify center. Oh my VS Code. Cool. And then I want to add some border, so border with 2 pixels, but the border should be dash, so border dash. Border color is yellow. Remember we have added the color in our tailwind config file, so border yellow light. Yep, this one. Save this. Why is this in white? It should not be in white. There is some problem. We need to fix that. Anyway, and the border should be rounded, so rounded XL. Just save this. Cool. Just adjust the height, so height full, and space between elements around 3 units, so space Y 3. Save this. There is some problem with the border color. We need to fix that, but for now it looks fine. The width should be full. Let's go to a parent component, this padding 4.1. Just target this and make the width full. Save this. Yeah, fine. Looks cool, huh? And now let's add the validation. So you want to accept JPG, PNG and the MP3 files, right? So for that, just go to this configuration object, and you can set a property which is accept. Here you can either pass this as an array of string or just a string with commas. So you want to accept image /jpg type, image /jpeg, comma image /png. And how can we get the types? I'll put a link in the description box. From that you can get the types, or if you just don't get the types, just drag and drop the file to a Dropzone and then just log out. Inside that logs you can just get the type. Pretty simple. Alright. And then the audio, but this is not audio /mp3, it should be audio mpeg. This means mp3. Okay, just save this. And how can you know that it is accepted or not? For that, this hook returns 2 more properties. One is isDrag accept and isDrag reject. So just destructure those. IsDrag accept, comma isDrag reject. Cool. So basically using this you can modify the style and the text. So let's try to change the text first. Let's copy this isDrag reject. Go here. Inside this image, I'll be using a ternary operator. Just put a curly brace because I want to execute some JavaScript. So if isDrag reject is true, it means I need to show a text, something like, sorry, this app only supports images and MP3. Sorry, this app images and MP3. And if the isDrag reject is false, it means it has accepted the files. In that case, just render the drag and drop files here, and this only PNG, MP3 files are supported and all this stuff. So inside a div, just put it. Cool. Save this. Let's see. Oh, these texts are not aligned centered. Anyway, let's try to drag and drop a file. Let's drag an MP3 file. Okay, everything is fine. And then let's try to drag a video file. Look at this. Sorry, this app only supports images and MP3. So it means our condition is working fine. Cool. Let's try to modify the CSS. So I'm gonna change the border, right? Look at this. I've applied the border on this div, which wraps these images and these p tags. So basically target this div. So we need to conditionally add the classes. So just use a curly brace and then colon. Let's wrap this. Now I'm going to concatenate the string. So basically I'm not going to use string literal and like, hey, it's 2021 and you are not using string literal. But that is more confusing in this case. There is a nice package available which is called class names, but only to apply on this I don't want to install that package. Okay, so basically let me show you what I'm going to do. So let's add a plus. Fine. So here inside a brace I'm gonna check if is drag reject is true. I'm going to explicitly check if it is true or not, because is drag reject is undefined if you don't drag. Okay, so in that case it will create some problem. Okay, so if it is true, I want to add a border color red 500. Yes, that's nothing. Okay, and then just copy this. The second one is if is drag accept is true. In that case I'll change the border color to green. That's it. Save this. And guys, make sure you have put this space after this rounded excel, else it will just concatenate without the space. Fine, let's see. It should work. I'm still feeling guilty about this string concatenation. So let's drag this video. Oh, look at this. It's red. So it's working fine. It is not acceptable. And then let's drag this MP3 file. Yep, this is green. Pretty cool stuff, huh? Okay. The text is not aligned centered. That is because of this div. Is written a fragment. Let's see. Yeah, cool, fine. So I've accidentally wrapped this with a div, which should be a fragment. Fine. And now we need to store the file so that we can show the details, right? So just go to index.tsx. Inside our home page, inside the parent component, I should say, let's create a beautiful state. So use state should be auto imported. Nope. The name of the state is file, and this is at initial state. This is null. Import the use state. Fine. So I'll pass this set file to this Dropzone component, right? Just go to this Dropzone component and let's add the TypeScript here. So this is a type of functional component. So just colon functional component. Inside the generic, just define the property types. So this is set file and it should be a dispatch. So dispatch should be imported from React index. The dispatch type is any. So again, put a generic and any. Generic means this angle bracket. Okay. Increase the font size. Fine. Let's try to destructure this. Just press Ctrl and space, and you will get the autocomplete of TypeScript. One of the best thing on earth. So just get the set file, and then inside this callback function, just set the set file to accepted files. But we don't want the whole array. We only want the first object, the first file object. So just get this first value. Fine. Save this, and now look at this. Index.tsx is giving me an error, and that is because of the TypeScript. Hey, Dropzone component accept a property which is set file, and you need to pass that. So set file. Cool. Let's log out the file name inside this render file. Say if I have the file, just get the file.file name dot. Just use dot. This is called optional chaining. Just save this. Let's see. Just drag and drop this MP3 file, and look at this. I have this name swipe, who's, pipe, whatever. So that's it for this Dropzone component. In the next part, we are going to render the files and upload the files. Okay, so if the video helps you, please hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, bye. Oh, it's 3:12 a.m. Hey guys, welcome back to our project. In this part we are going to create the render file component, and then we are going to upload a file from our front end. And what I mean by the render file component is the file details. Let me just upload a file. Let's say this one. Look at this, I have the details of the file. This is an PNG image, and then the name of the file and the size of the file. I'm going to create this as a separate component because I also need this in our download page. Let me show you. So just click on this upload, and it is uploaded. I got the download page link, so just copy this, and then let me just open a new tab and put it here. Yeah, look at this. This is the same component, the file details, right? Okay, so let's do that. We need to do a lot of stuff in this video. So let's go to a code editor. Make sure you're in the client directory. I mean inside the terminal. Cool. Just open the index.tsx page, which is our home page. Cool. So we need to create the render file component and render here, right? So let's just go to the components folder and create the component first. Let's name this render file or file details, whatever you want, .tsx underscore rafce. This will give me the boilerplate of a functional component. So as the prop, we need to get the file details, right? So let's get the file details. You know what, let me just create an interface. That will be much better. So let's go inside this client folder and then create a folder which is libraries. So libs. Inside this libs folder, let's create a file which is types.ts. I'll put all the types inside this types.ts. So let's create the interface and also export this. The name of the interface is ifile, I for the naming convention. So it should have a name which should be a string, and then it should be a size, so size in bytes. You can make this a number, but from the backend it will be coming a string. So I'll leave this as string, and then format. Cool. Okay, I'll put another property which is id, but that is optional because when you upload a file in Dropzone component, it does not return an id, right? But the id might coming from the backend, so just make this an optional property. So id, it will also be a string. Nice. Save this, and now just go to renderfile.tsx. Let's add the type. So render file, it should return a functional component, but before that let me just increase the font. Cool. Close the sidebar. Functional component should be auto imported from React. Cool. And then inside the generic I can pass the properties. So file, it should be a type of ifile. Fine, should be auto imported. Nice. Great. So I got the file. Okay, inside this I need to render an image and then a span to hold the name of the file. So file.name, and then another span that will hold our size. So file.size in bytes, but I need to convert the size in bytes to MB so that it is more readable. I'll do that in a minute. Now what about this image source? It should show the format of the file, right? So just go to public folder. Inside this public folder, just go to this images folder, and you can see that I have all these images. The name of the images are kind of format, right? Like JPEG, JPG, MP3, text. So basically I need to check the format of the file and then dynamically pick the image from this images folder. Okay, so let's do that. Inside this source, we need to execute some JavaScript. So just put curly brace and then template string /images /format, and I can get the format using this file.format. But you know what, let me just destructure this inside this props. So format comma name, size in bytes comma name. Cool. And then I can just put the format here. I don't need this file dot and file dot size. Fine, it's much better. And now just place this render file component, and then we are going to add some tailwind. Just go to index.tsx. Here just remove this comment and put the render file component. Render file should be auto imported. Nice. We have a TypeScript error, that is because we have not passed the file. So just pass the file. Cool. But we have some problem, and that is because the shape of this file object which is given by the Dropzone component is not same as the type of this ifile. So basically we need to modify the shape and send the same properties. So for that, let me just log out the file and let's see what are the properties are there. File, cool. Save this and just go to index page, go to localhost 3000 and refresh. You might have some error. Yep, cannot read property format of null. That is acceptable. Just go to console. Oh, I don't have the Dropzone component, so I just need to comment out the render file component so that I can see the log. Refresh this. Cool. Upload a file. This one. Nice. Inside this file, I have this file object, and then you can see some properties. So I have the name, which is the file.name, and then we have the size in bytes, which is just size, and then our file needs the format, but we don't have any format here, but we have type. So we need to get the format from this type. And how can I get that? Let me show you. So just get the type, and then you can just split this by the slash, and it will give me an array. Look at this, I got an array with 2 elements. So from here I just need to select the second element, which is the index 1. That's it. Let's do it. So here just uncomment the render file. Cool. We will not send the file, instead we will create a separate object. So the first value is format. This should be file.type.split, split by slash, and then just pick the second value. Beautiful. And then we have the name, which is the file.name, and then third we have the size in bytes, which is file.size, I guess. Yep. And then we have the ID, but that is optional, so you don't need to send that. In fact, we don't have any ID. So now just save this. Next we are going to render this file component if we have the file, else it will give you an error. So I render this render file if our file is not null or not false, I should say. The file is our state value, so save this. Cool. Minimize the terminal. Yeah, pretty good. Let's see. Oh, you already have something. Look at this, 9.png and whatever. Let's pick another file. Yeah, it looks like we have some problem here. We don't have the image. Why? Let's go to render file. Oh wow, /format.png. we need to select the png. Just add the png. Now yeah, got it. We have the png, we have the name of the file, and then again we have the name. Why? Let's go to index.tsx. Oh, we have this file.name here. Now that's fine. Okay, cool. Let's add some tailwind. So just go to render file.tsx. So the wrapper div should be flex, of course. Class name flex. The direction is row, and then the item should be centered, so everything should be vertically centered. The width should be full. I'll add some padding, so padding 4 unit at all side, and margin around 2 unit, but vertically, so my2. Cool. And then I'll restrict the image size, so just go to this image, add some class name. The width is around 14 unit and the height is around 14 unit, which is around 56 pixel. Cool. And then just go to span, target both the span, add class name. Oh, not class. Wow. Oh, class name. The first span should have a margin horizontally around 2 unit, and then the second span, which is our size, should be at the right, so just use ml auto. That's it. Save this. Let's see. Yeah, look at this. Beautiful. And now let's convert these bytes to MB. How? Let's create a function. You can create this function inside this render file, but the best practice is just create this file inside this libraries folder. Okay, let's name this size in mb.ts. Cool. So export const size in mb. It should be an arrow function. I could have used the shortcut. Anyway, so it will get the byte as string, and then it will also return a string. Fine. Not byte, is bytes. Cool. Oh, let's use this, not semicolon, buddy. The conversion is really easy. Just get the bytes. Let's divide this with 1024 into 1024. You know why? First it converts to kilobyte and then to megabyte. And then I want to fix the value up to 2 decimal. And then we are gonna add MB at the last. So just use the template string and then just use MB and put it inside a dollar and curly brace. Fine, save this, and we have some problem, and that is because the bytes is string, right? You know what, just make this a number. Then just go to this types.ts and also make this size in bytes to number. Who cares? Just save this. Cool. And now we got this function, right? Just go to render file.tsx. So basically we are gonna call this size in MB and pass this size in bytes. That's it. Save this, and now let's see. Oh wow, no, it's not what I want. Let's go to size in MB. Hey, no, just wrap this 1024 and 1024 with a parenthesis. Save this, and now something is wrong here. What is that? Some bloody parenthesis issue. And now it's okay. 0.07 MB. Fine. Yeah, quite good. And now let's create the upload button. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go to this index.tsx page. Here I need to create the upload button. So a button, it will say upload. Add class name. Just set the width first, and then let's make this side by side. Cool. Save this. Let's add some more class. BG gray 900. Padding is around 2 unit. Add margin Y, so margin vertically 5 unit, which is around 20 pixel, and then just make the corner rounded, so rounded MD. Save this. Yeah, cool. On focus I don't want any outline, so focus outline none. That's it. Save this. And now let's also add the functionality to upload the file. So let's go at the top. Go at the top. I don't need to console log this file. Fine. Let's create an arrow function which is handle upload. Fine. Okay, so what do we need to do? Inside this we need to create a form data. Inside this form data we are going to append the file, and then we are going to make a request to the server. The server as a response will give us the file ID and the download page link, if you remember. So we need to just render the download page link. Let's do it. Okay, so to make the request I'm going to use Axios, so let's just install that. Let's go to a terminal, open a new terminal. Ctrl+Shift+5 is a shortcut. Just go to client and then npm I Axios. That's it. Let it install. Meanwhile, let's create the form data. So const inside this function form data is new form data. Inside this form data, the key is my file, because my file is the same key which Multer extracts. If you remember, let me show you. Just go to a server. Inside this server, just go to a routes. Inside the files.ts, look at this. At this my file inside this Multer, right? So you need to pass the same key. We have also seen this in the Postman. Anyway, so this is our file. That's it. Oh, it is form data.append. Oh my goodness. And then we are going to make some asynchronous calls. So just use try catch. Also make the function asynchronous. Nice. Axios is installed. Fine. So just use await Axios. Inside this we need to pass an object. Axios is, by the way, automatically imported. Yep. So we need to define the method which is post, and then the data is form data. Then we need to pass the URL. Here you can pass the whole URL with the base endpoint, but I'm gonna set the base endpoint as the default of this Axios. So just use URL which is API / files / upload. Yep. Cool. And then the important part, which is the headers. Inside this headers, again an object. We just need to pass the content type, which is multi-part form data / form data. Cool. Save this, and now just set the Axios default. So let's go to _app.tsx. Here at the top, Just import the axios dot defaults dot base URL is our base URL, which is the localhost 4000 or 8000. Fine, save this. Cool. Just go to index.tsx. Just grab the response. So const, just destructure data. Fine. Here we need to store the data somewhere, and where to store the data? Of course, we need to create a state. So just go at the top. Use state is a shortcut. I'm going to create two separate states, one to store the download page link and the second one to store the ID, just to make things simpler. So set ID, it is null. Oh wow, null. And then again use state, this is download page link. That's it, which is also null for now. Fine. So after getting the data, let's set the download page link to data.download page link. Put it here, and then the ID. So set ID is data.id. Cool, pretty cool. And if anything goes wrong, just log out the error. So log error.response.data. That's how you can get the error data from Axios object. And then we need to show something like upload is failed. So for that, I'm going to create another state which will keep the status of the upload. So use state, this is upload state. So here I'm going to create an enum. How? Inside this use state, just put a generic, and here you can set the type of the state. So this can be either uploading or upload failed, or it can be something like uploaded. Fine. And it starts with null. Cool. So here inside this try catch block, just set upload state. Just look at the beauty of the TypeScript. Just put a colon and look at this. Upload failed. If you make something like upload, it will give you an error. It's because upload is not acceptable, bro. So it is upload failed. Fine. Okay, one important step is at the first of the request, at the first of the function, I'm gonna check if the upload state is same as uploading. In that case, I'm gonna return, because it will create some error, right? If you press the button multiple times, so return. Nice. And now we have the function ready. So just call this when the button is clicked. So on click, just pass the reference which is handle upload. Cool. Save this. Nice. Pretty good stuff. Let's see. My backend should be running. So let me just run my backend. Just go to server and should be npm run dev. Oh, by the way guys, I'll put all the code in the description box branch wise. That is important, branch wise. So if anything goes wrong, you can just check that out. If anything goes wrong, that means you are going to learn something. Npm run dev, let my database be connected. Yeah, connected to database. Let's see. No error, no error, no error, please. Let's select a file. This one. Good. Click on upload. And hey, I need to show something like uploading. We also need to show the upload status. Anyway, just go to the network and let's see. Click on upload again and upload. Pending, and we got 200. Fine. As the response, we have the ID and the download page link. Great. Let's also show the upload status. So inside this button, I'll not show upload. Instead, I'll show the upload state. Cool. Okay. At the top, the initial value of this upload state should be upload, so that it always, but we don't have upload yet. So just use another or and use upload inside a quote upload. So it is upload. Nice. And then when you trigger this function, I'll make the state uploading. Okay, fine. Save this. And now I need to render the download page link. So really easy. So after this button, I'll check if I have the download page link. I'll create a div. Inside this div, I need to render a message, something like great, the file is uploaded, share this file with your friend, and then I need to render the download page link and a copy button. So the better approach will be, let's create a component. Just go inside this components. Let's create a component something like download or download file .tsx. Cool. Underscore RFC. Fine, that will give me the boilerplate. Inside this div, I should have a age1. That will give me a message something like lorem 10. Cool. And then another div. Inside this div, I'll put the span to show the download page link. We don't have the download page link, so just get this through the props. So download page link. Just get this inside the span. Render this. Cool. And then after this span, I'm going to render an image. I can get this image from this public /images folder. So /images /copy.png. Just save this. Cool. Just add some class name on this image. Not class name, class name. Really simple. Width is around 8 unit. Height is also around 8 unit. The object feed should be content. And the cursor should be pointer. That's it. On this span, which is rendering the download page link, I'm going to add some class name, and only one class name, which is word break all. Okay, so that it does not take the whole line. And then the div which wraps this image and the span, just add some class name. It should be a flex box, so flex row, and the space between the items is around 3 units, so space x 3 unit. Cool. And then target the parent div, just add class name. I'm only going to add some padding, so padding is around 1 unit. Cool. So also target the age1. The margin y is around 2 unit. The text should be large, like it's a message after all, the success message. And then the font should be medium. Cool. Save this. Let's see. Just go to index.tsx and render this component. Not inside a div. We don't need to create a div. So download page, download file. The name of the component is very awkward. So download page link is the download page link. Fine. And then after that, I need to show the email form here, which we don't have right now. So just comment that out. Cool. And now one important thing is, I'm going to only show this Dropzone component if I don't have the download page link. Right. If we have successfully uploaded the file, we don't need to show this Dropzone component. Just wrap this. Cool. Save this. Oh, just use the not, buddy. Not download page link. Cool. We have done a lot of stuff. Refresh the page. Click on upload. Upload failed. Why? I don't know. Oh, that is because we don't have the file. You can also make something like, if you don't have the file, you can't just upload. I should have done that. So uploading, and yeah, it is uploaded, but it is still showing uploading. Anyway, we have the download page link and the copy button. Now let's add the JavaScript to copy the link. Really simple, one line of JavaScript. Just go to this download file. Here, click on this image, click, just trigger an arrow function. We're going to use the navigator API. So navigator.clipboard.write text. Just pass the download page link. That's it. Save this. Let's now fix the bugs. So basically the idea is, I'm not going to render this upload button if we have successfully uploaded that. Right, so again just use download page link. So download page link, I'll only show this if we don't have the download page link and if we don't have the file. This is also important. We have just seen the bug. Okay, just wrap this with the curly brace. Fine. And then I'm going to wrap this download file with a div and then render everything like this download file, the email form, a button to upload a new file. So let's create another button to upload the new file, like upload new file. Okay, I need to add all the classes here, the same as the button. So let's copy all these classes and put it here. You can also make something called tailwind component. I'm going to show you in the refactoring part. In that way you can use the dry approach, don't repeat yourself. Okay, fine. Cool. Just target this div, the parent div, and add some class. Of course we need to add some padding, so class name padding is around 2 unit, and the text should be center. Fine, save this, let's see. Cool. Let's upload a new file. Okay, so what should happen if I click on this upload a new file? Basically I need to show the Dropzone component again, and to show the Dropzone component again I need to remove the file. So again I need to make the state, the file state null. So let's do that. I'm gonna create another function. I told you I need to do a lot of stuff in this part. So nfn, that will give me the arrow function. The name is reset component or reset file, whatever. Reset component, I don't need to use any params. So this would be set file null, and also a download page link null. And now just call this reset component if the button is clicked, the upload new button is clicked. So let's go to upload new button. On click, just pass the reference. Let's see. I guess that's it for this part. Let's see. Click on this upload new file, and yes, we have this Dropzone component. Click on this, select a file. Yeah, this is upload. Click on this upload. It is uploading. Yeah, really good. I can click on this and it should be copied. Just go to a new tab and put it here. Yeah, good. Look at this, we don't have the route, so that's why it is showing the page could not be found. Okay, so that's all for this part. We have done a lot of stuff in this video. So in the next part we are going to create this page, and we also need to create the second API endpoint which will give me the details about the file, so that I can render the render file component again with that details. So see you in the next part. Bye. Hey guys, welcome back to our project. In the last part we have added the functionality to upload a file from our client side, and now we need to implement this download page, this one. So at first we need to create an API to get the file details, and then we need to make a request from our server side to get the data, and based on that data we are going to render the page. Okay, so let's just go to a backend and create the API first. Go to server, go to routes, go to files.ts. Fine. So create a new route. Okay, cool. So it should be a get request, so router.get, and I should get the ID as the param, so /:id. Fine. And then the function request comma response, just make an arrow function. Nice. The function should be an asynchronous function, so just use async. Cool. Let's use a try catch block. Then inside this try catch block, first I need to grab the ID from the request.params, and then I need to check if the file does exist with this ID or not. If the file does not exist, I need to return 404, and if the file exists, I need to return the details. Let's do it. So inside this try catch block, just grab the ID first. Const ID is request.params.id. Fine, and then I need to check if the file does exist or not. So the file is the model already imported, find by ID, and just pass the ID. Okay, if the file does exist, it will return me the file object, else it will return me null. So just grab the response const file, and also make this await because it's an asynchronous call. Nice. And then I need to check if the file is a falsy value, it means the file does not exist. So return res.status, what is status code 404, and the JSON is message something like the file does not exist. Cool. But if the file does exist, I need to return with a status code 200 success.json, and now I need to return the specific shape which we have defined in our iFile interface. So let me show you again. iFile or types, yep, look at this, we need to return this specific shape. So just copy this and go here and put it inside this JSON, and now let's modify the value. So the name is file.name, and you know what, we can actually destructure this. So before this, const destructure from the file, so press Ctrl and space, let's grab the file name, then format, yep, and then size in bytes. So size in bytes, cool. Let's pass the values. So name is file name, and then the size in bytes is size in bytes, so we don't need to pass the value. ES6 syntax, and then the format is also format, so we don't need to pass the value, and then the ID is ID. Cool, pretty good stuff. Just save this, and that's it. And if anything goes wrong, just return the status code 500, which is the server error. So 500, and the message is server error. Cool, save this, and now let's test this endpoint. Just go to a browser, just a normal GET request. We can do this from the browser. Just copy the file ID, and then just make a request to localhost 8000/API/files/the ID, and enter, and I should get the file. Yep, the name, size in bytes, format, and the ID. Fine. And now just go to client side and implement this page. Inside this client, we need to create a new route. So just go inside the source, inside the pages, and here I need to create the route. But before that, let's see the structure of the route. Cool, so just look at the route. This is localhost 3000, which is our base endpoint, and then /download/the ID. Now this ID can be any file ID. Basically, it's a dynamic route. And how to create the dynamic route in Next.js? It's really simple. As the Next.js is based on file-based routing, this is really easy. Just go inside the pages folder, and first we need to create the download. So inside this pages, let's create a new folder, which is download. Cool. And then inside this download, we need to create the dynamic route. So let's create another folder and put a square bracket. Inside the square bracket, you can pass the name of the param, which is in this case ID or file ID, whatever. I'll be going for ID, and that's it. Inside this ID folder, you need to create the home page or the index.tsx. That's it. Done. Close the sidebar, create a functional component, RAFC. Fine. Just write something like download page, and let's try to refresh the page. I should see this download page. Yep, nice. So our route is set up, and now we need to make the request to get the file details, and I'm gonna make the request in our server side. So let's see how server side rendering works in Next.js. Okay, just look at this documentation. I'll put the documentation in the description box. Now I'm not going to talk about this in details, as I have already made 2 videos on this Next.js data fetching techniques. Please watch those. Anyway, let me give you a brief description about this. Let me just zoom in. Fine. So in Next.js, there are 3 unique functions you can use to fetch data for pre-rendering. First one is getStaticProps. This function is used to generate static page. So if you need to generate a static page in your project, something like FAQ page or an about page, which is not changed dynamically, in that case you can use this getStaticProps function. But this function is only run on build time. It means that if you need to change the data at some point, you need to rebuild the whole project. Okay, and then the second function is getStaticPaths. This is same as the getStaticProps, but this is for dynamic routes. Again, this function is run on build time. And then the third one is getServerSideProps. This is used for server-side rendering, and this function is run on every request. So every time you refresh the page, this function is gonna run. But one important part, you can either use getStaticProps or getServerSideProps in a page. Okay, we just can't use both. And then there is another technique which is called ISR, Incremental Static Regeneration, which is a combination of getStaticProps and getServerSideProps. So if you need to change the data after an interval, you can use that technique. Okay, so that's a brief description about this technique. Just read out the documentation, guys. This is very beautifully documented. Anyway, now tell me which function we are gonna use in this page. It has to be getServerSideProps. Every time you go to the page, it's a new ID, and with that ID you need to get the new details. So let's see how it works. Just go to getServerSideProps. Nice. So you need to define a function which is getServerSideProps, and we also need to export this out. And then just look at this. We need to return a specific shape. So inside this object, we need to create a key which is props. Inside this props, whatever you define will be passed inside this page. If it seems confusing, don't worry. Let me just copy the function and just go to our page. Cool. Let's put it here. Nice. The context has a type of getServerSideProps context. Fine. So inside this, just use a try-catch block to make the asynchronous call. Just use await, import axios should be auto imported. Yep, it's a get request, so axios.get, so axios.get, and then just copy the URL from the browser. This is localhost 3000/API/files/the ID, and put it here inside this template string. Nice. Now important part is, inside this get server side props or any data fetching techniques function, you need to pass the whole URL. So what I mean by that is, you also need to pass this base URL. Okay, so this is localhost 8000. It should be coming from the environment variable, but I'll change that later. And then this ID should be dynamic. And how can I get the ID? You can get this ID from this context. So const this structure from context dot query, yep, and just grab the ID. And this ID is the same as this dynamic route, which is this ID. If you make this file ID, you will grab this as file ID. Cool. So just put this ID. Fine. Save this and then just grab the data. So const data, and now we need to return this data as the props. So let's create a variable outside this try catch block. So let's make this let file. Fine. Save this, and then after getting the data, assign the file with the data. Nice. If anything goes wrong, just log out the error. So error dot response dot data, and the file is an empty object. Nice. And then just return inside this props the file. File is file, and in ES6 you can remove the value. Nice. So what I'm doing, inside this get server side props, I'm making a request to this URL that will give me the file details, and then just return the data as the file. And now inside this index page, inside the next page, I can grab the file as the properties. Okay, we can also set the type of this index page, which is next page. Should be auto imported. Nice. Inside this generic, just define the types of the properties. So file, it should be the I file, should be imported. Nice. That's it. And now let's try to render the name of the file first. So file.name, let's see, refresh the page. There should not be any error. Refresh the page, and yep, I have my file data, fingerpoints.png. Now let's design the page and render the whole data. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, inside this props, I'm also gonna destructure the file, which is format, name, size in bytes, ID. We also need the ID because we are gonna make a download button. Okay, and then just remove this file.name. Instead, I'm first gonna check if I have the ID or not. Why? Because if the ID is undefined, it means the file is an empty object. If the file is an empty object, that means I got an error. Got it? And if you got an error, what does it mean? It means it is either a server error or the file does not exist. So inside this curly brace, just check if I don't have the ID, it means the file does not exist. So inside the span, just oops, file does not exist. Check the URL. Cool. But if the file does exist, inside this fragment, what do you need to do? Oh, wait, where it is? Inside this fragment, first I'm gonna show an image, which is the download image, and then an h1, something like your file is ready to be downloaded, and then the render file component, and then a download button. So let's do that. First an image, and this image should be coming from the public folder. Inside this public, inside this images folder, I have this file download.png. So just render this /images/file download.png. I have a typo in download. Fine. And then an h1, something like your file is ready to be downloaded, and then the render file component. So render file, fine, it needs the file as a property, and we need to pass this as the object. Let's create an object and pass the format, size in bytes, name, size in bytes. That's it. My TypeScript is happy, and then I need to show a download button. So button, inside this, just pass the download as the text again. Cool. Save this and let's see. Okay, refresh the page. Fine, I got my file, I got the data, and now let's try to make with a wrong ID. Just remove a couple of letters from the ID. Yeah, look at this. Oops, the file does not exist. Check the URL. Fine. So let's try to add the tailwind. So let's go to a parent div and add class name. It has to be a flex container. The flex direction should be column. The item should be horizontally centered and also justify centered for vertically centered as the direction is column. And then just add some padding vertically, which is 3 unit. The space between the items is 4 unit. That is fine. The background, change this to gray 800. Just add a rounded border, so rounded MD. Then just add some box shadow, so shadow XL, and the width is around 96 unit. That's it. Save this and then just target this image, the file download image. Just add class name. Just add the width and the height. Width is around 16 unit and the height is also around 16 unit. And then I have the age one, which is the message. Let's make this extra large, so text XL. Cool. And then the render file component, we don't need to touch this. And then the button, so at class name, the buttons should have the same styles as the previous buttons, but here's an improvement. We can't just copy and paste the whole class names, right? There should have a better approach, and there is. That is called tailwind component. So just go to the home page, which is the index page. Yep. Here look at this. Inside this button I have all these class names, and we need the same button in different pages. So what we can actually do, we can make this a tailwind component, not a React component, tailwind component. Let me show you. Just copy all these classes of this button and then just go to global.css. Cool. Here look at this block. You might have this block commented out, so just uncomment this, and then inside this components layer we can create the new class. Okay, so just remove the class, and the class would be button in our case. And then look at this. Inside this angle bracket we have this tailwind classes, so just remove this and put all our button classes. That's it. And now we can use this button as a separate class. Just save this and then just go to index.tsx, our download page, and here the button class name should be button. Just save this and now let's see. Refresh the page. Hey, look at this. And now let's refresh all the other classes of button. So just go to the home page and remove these button classes. Instead add button. That's it. You also don't need this button. Inside this upload new file, refresh this with the button, save this, and then just go to anywhere else. No. Yeah, pretty good. So that's it for this part. In the next part we are going to add the functionality to download the file. So see you in the next part. Bye. In this part we are going to add the functionality to download a file. So if I click on this download button, the file should be downloaded, and here it is. Okay, so for that we need to create an API, and then inside this frontend we need to add the functionality. So let's go to a server and create the API first. Go to server, go inside this routes and this files.ts. Fine. Okay, so it will be a GET request. So let me just copy this GET request from this file details API, because this is pretty much the same. Duplicate. Fine. So this endpoint should be :id/download. Nice. And then it will be an asynchronous request. Inside this try catch block I need to check if the file does exist or not. If the file does not exist, I will return this with a status code 404 and the file does not exist. And then we need to replace this stuff. So remove this for now, and then inside this catch block with a status code 500 just return server error. Okay, so our file is stored in the Cloudinary storage. It means that first I need to get the file from the Cloudinary, and then I need to send the file to a client. So to get the file we are going to use the HTTPS client. So let's import the HTTPS package. Cool. HTTPS, and just import this as HTTPS. Cool. Then here, really simple logic. HTTPS.get, and here I need to pass the URL, and I have the URL stored in my file.secure URL. Yep. And then it will give me the response as file stream inside this callback function. So basically I need to pipe this file stream. So hey, file stream mon dot pipe and just pass the response to make this downloadable. Save this. That's it. So first of all, I am checking if the file does exist or not. If the file is not found, just return 404. But if the file does exist, it means I need to grab the file from the Cloudinary. So I'm getting this file using this https.get and passing this file.secure URL, which is our URL. And then I'll get this data as file stream. And to make this file downloadable, I'll call this function.pipe and just pass the response. That's it. So let's test this endpoint. Just go to browser, localhost 3000. Let's upload a file. It says finger points. Click on upload. Nice. Just copy this ID. Oh, yeah, cool. Copy the ID and then our endpoint is localhost 8000 /API/files /this ID /download and enter. I should get my image and here it is. Great. Using a JavaScript package, we can download the file. So for that, just go to client. Inside this client, just go to pages, source and then pages, and then our page is this download.index.tsx. Oh. Cool. So if I click on this download button, the file should be downloaded. So to download the file, I am going to install a package which is JS file download. Just go to terminal, create a new terminal, cd to client, and then npm i, make sure you go to the client, npm i JS file download. Enter and let it install. Meanwhile, let's create the function to download the file. Okay. So here, let's create an arrow function. The name of the function is handle download. Fine, it will not accept any parameter, but it will be an asynchronous function. Nice. So let's make an Axios request. Axios.get the URL. Let me just copy this from the browser. Copy this, and then inside the template string, pass this. Cool. The ID, just remove this and replace this with the $ID. Nice. And then inside this configuration, you need to pass a property which is response type. It should be blob. It is important to make the file downloadable. Save this and then just grab the data, destructure the data from the response. Also add await before this Axios function. Not await. Wow. Cool. Save this and that's it. I have my data here, and then let's use the package we have just installed, which is JS file download. So just import this. So import from JS file download. JS file. Oh, it is not installed or what? It is installed, then why it is not showing me in the suggestion? Anyway, just copy this and put it here. JS file download and import file download. That's it. And now this is a function, so just call this file download function and then just pass the data as the first parameter, and then the second parameter is the file name. So just pass the name. Cool. This name is the name of the downloaded file. Okay. Just save this and then just call this function when the button is clicked. So on click, just pass the reference. That's it. Save this and now just go to a browser, go to localhost 3000 and then copy this link, open a new tab and put it here. Great, we got our file. Click on this download and I have my file. Yeah, look at this. Open the file. This is the finger image. Come on. Yep. Okay, so that's it for this part. In the next part, we are going to add the functionality to email the file. So see you in the next part. Bye. Hey guys, welcome back to our project. In this part, we are going to add the functionality to email the file link. This part will be long but quite interesting. Okay, so let me show you what I am going to make. Let's upload a file. This finger points. Click on this upload. And it's uploaded. And now I have this email form. Inside this email form, I have this email from and email to. So just put your email ID, code.sumax, Let me just put mine, which is code.sumesh@gmail.com, and then email 2. This is one of my fake email ID, which is sumit.unt@gmail.com. Click on this email, and the email should be sent. Yep, the email sent. And now just go to the email, and now let me just go to Gmail and check the email. Okay, refresh this, and as you can see, I have received 3 emails from this code.sumesh, and this is because the previous 2 were just to test the functionalities. Okay, anyway, look at this. We have the file details like file name, file size, and who sent the file, and then I have this go to download page. Click on this suspicious link. Oh, you can proceed, and then just download, and the file will be downloaded. Okay, so which service we are going to use? We are going to use SendGrid, which is free up to 9,000 emails per month, which is enough for you. And then for the email functionality, we are going to use the node mailer package, which is industry standard. Okay, so let me just create the base of the API, and then we are going to talk about this in detail. So let's go to a server and go to routes and then files.ts. Cool. Let's create a new route here. Before that, just increase the font. Cool. So it should be a post route. So router.post, the endpoint is /email, and I'll get this function request.response. And then what are the steps? The first step should be validate the request. So basically I'm going to get the file ID, email from, and the email to from the client, and I need to check the validation. And then the second step is check if the file does exist or not. Like if the file does not exist, it's game over. Quite obvious. And then the third step is create the transporter. And what is a transporter, by the way? Transporter is a function which takes an object to define the connection. That's it. This is really simple using the node mailer package, don't worry. And then the fourth step is we need to prepare the email data. And what is the email data? Look at this. The email you have just sent, this whole email template, and then who sent the file, what is the name of the file, the size of the file is the email data. So we need to prepare those. And then the fifth step is we need to send the email. And then the final step is we need to save the data and send the response. That's it. Let's do it one by one. So first of all, I need to get the data and validate the request. So const, let's destructure from the request.body. Wow. Request.body. Let's grab the ID, email from, and email to. And then I need to check if the file does exist or not. I have done this before, so let me just copy this one, and put it. Really simple query. Using the file model, just call the function find by ID and pass the ID. If the file does not exist, it will return null. So if it is null, I return with the status code 404, and the message is file does not exist. And this is await, so we need to make this function asynchronous. Cool. So that's our second step. And then at the third, I need to create the transporter. And how to create the transporter? Just go to a documentation of node mailer. I'll put this documentation in the description box. Please check that out. I recommend you to open this documentation in a separate tab. Okay. So look at this. Node mailer is a module for Node.js to send the email. And the project got started back in 2010. Wow. Anyway, just scroll down and you should see 2 functions which will do our job. Yep. This create transport, and the second one is this send mail. Inside this create transport, it takes an object where you need to send these data like host, port, secure, and auth. And how can you get this data? You can get this data from the service you are going to use, which is send in blue. I'm coming back to this in a minute. And then look at the second function, which is the send mail. This one. It also takes an object where you need to pass these data like from, to, what is the subject of the email, and if you have an email template, you can pass this as HTML. Really simple. Okay, so let's go to a service and set up our data. Let me just log out. Anyway, just go to this app.sendinblue.com, and then you need to register if you don't have an account. Okay, inside the registration page, you just need to fill a form, and then you need to verify your phone number, and then just select the free service. That's it. Let me just log in. Cool. You will be redirected to this dashboard, and then just go to top right corner click on this drop down and you should see these options. Click on this SMTP and API. This is free service, like you can send around 9,000 email per month, which is enough for you. Anyway, just click on this SMTP and that's it. Look at this data. You just need to pass this data to the configuration object and this should be secured. So just create some environment variables. So just go to a code editor, open the .env file of the server and let me just paste some data here. So the first one, this send in blue SMTP host, it should be your server. This one, this SMTP server, it should be your host. And then I have this port which is the same as this SMTP port, which is 587. This is fixed, I guess. And then this SMTP password, which is your master password. This one, this master password. And then the last one is a login. This will be passed as SMTP user. Okay, that's our 4 variables we need to set up. Just save the file and then just go to files.ts. We need to install a package which is NodeMailer, and I have already installed it because in my machine this is really slow. So just type npm I NodeMailer, and you also need to install the types declaration of the NodeMailer, which is npm i-d@type/NodeMailer. Okay, cool. So just install that package and then we need to create the transporter. So for that, just import the package. Just go at the top, import NodeMailer from NodeMailer, import this as NodeMailer. Cool. And then here we need to create the function. So just go to a documentation again. Let me just copy the function. Yep, this one. Just copy this and put it here. Nice. So NodeMailer.create transport. The host, I need to pass the host, port, secure, and the authentication. So the host should be our environment variable, which is send in blue SMTP host. So copy this and put it here. And then the port, this is SMTP_port, and then the secure should be false. Don't worry about the process.env, I'm going to add this in a minute. Okay, and then under this auth I have this user. So just remove this. It will be our send in blue _SMTP_user, and then the password, it should be our master password, which is _password. And now just add process.env before all this send in blue. So process, just using multi-cursor, this is really simple. .env dot the environment variable. Just save this and that's it. Now look at this, we have a problem inside this host, and honestly I don't know why it is showing me an error. Like look at the description. This is saying host does not exist in type transport option, and let me show you. Just go to a type declaration file of this create transport. So press Ctrl and click, and then inside this function just click on this SMTP transport option. Again press Ctrl and click, and then inside this option it extends the mail option, transport option, and the SMTP connection.options. Click on this SMTP connection.options and then press Ctrl and click, and then look at this, I have this host which is a string. Now you might say that it can be undefined. Okay, no problem. Just let me use the not after this, and now it is still giving me an error. So I'm going to ignore this error. So for that, just use /@tsignore. That's it. Save this. Cool. And then I need to prepare the email data. So let's do that. So first of all, just grab the download link and the file size from our database. So const the structure from the file. Oh, come on. Press Ctrl and space. Just grab the file name and then the file size. Sorry, size in bytes, I guess. Yeah, size in bytes. And then anything else? No, I don't need that. Okay, just save this, and now we need to convert the size in bytes to MB. So for that, let me just grab the function from our front end, which is in our libs /size in MB. So yeah, so grab this function and then just go to files.ts. So just create a variable something like file size, and then just pass the conversion. I missed the copy, so just again copy this, only the conversion part. So this under this bytes 1024 into 1024.262 and then this MB. Okay, and put it here. That's it. Just replace this byte with the size in bytes. Fine. It's saying that the left hand side should be a number, so just convert this to a number. Really simple. Just pass this inside this number constructor. That's it. Save this, and now we need to create the download page link. So again, we have created this before inside this upload file, right? Inside this upload route. So just grab the download page link. Yep, this one. Just copy this and then put it here. Download page link, just make this a variable, const download page link, just remove the colon. This is file underscore id, that is fine. Just make this id, we don't need to make this file dot underscore id. And now we need to create an object, which is this one. This one, this from to subject text and HTML. So let's grab this object and create our own. So let's say const, this is mail options, and put this object. Nice. So what should be a from? This is our from, email from, and then what should be a to? This is again email to, to, and then the subject. It will be something like file shared with you or whatever. And then the text. What, like somebody sent a file or something like email from sent you a file. So dollar and curly brace email from shared a file with you. Okay, and then the HTML. This is important. I'll provide you a GitHub link. From that you can get the email template. And thanks to Mr. Lee Mundro. Sorry if I am pronouncing wrong. Anyway, just go to this link. I'll put this link in the description box, and then just grab this whole template. Just copy this, click on this edit and press Ctrl and Alt. That will copy the whole template. And now let's create a function to generate this template. Let's go inside the server. Let's create another folder which is something like utils. Inside this utils, let's create a function which is create template or email template .ts. Okay, so let's create a function something like const create email template. Let's make an arrow function, and that will return this template, but I'll put this inside this backtick because I need to execute some JavaScript. That's it. Okay, cool. Also export this function. So export default create email template. Cool. At the top I should get some data. Oh, come on, at the top just grab some data as parameter. Basically I'm going to create this email template, this one. So what I need this email from, and then the file name, then the file size, and this download page link. So grab this as the parameters. So as a parameter, why am I destructuring some React thing? Okay, so I need the email from, which will be a string. Oh, come on. And then email to, which will also be a string, and then download page link, yep, which will be a string, and then the last one is file name, which will also be a string. Cool. Anything else? I also need the file size, and also make this camel casing, file name, and then the file size, which will also be a string. Beautiful. So email from, email to, download page link, file name, and file size. Nice. And then I need to replace something. So for that, just scroll down and just find this section which is under this body, this start centered while container. Okay, under this I have this section which is start main content area, and I need to modify this part. Okay, so look at this. I have two paragraphs which is high there. I'll keep the first paragraph, but the second paragraph I'll just remove this text, is sometimes you just want to send a simple HTML, just remove this text, and I'll replace this with the sender's email ID. So type dollar and curly brace, and it should be email from. You can also write something like shared a file with you. Okay, and then just duplicate this paragraph couple of times. Cool. So the third paragraph will be the file name, and just remove this text. Cool. And then at the fourth, just show the file size. File size. Fine. Really good. And then just scroll down. Look at this. Inside this table body, I have this table data, and then I have this anchor tag. This anchor tag, we just need to replace this href. So remove this and put a dollar and curly brace, and just replace this with the download page link. That's it. And then just change the text of this anchor tag, which is this call to action. Just remove this, and guys, if anything goes wrong, I'll put all the codes in the description box. Please check those out. I'll also put my templates separately, so just check that out. Come on, you can do it. Just say something like go to download page. Okay. No dollar and curly brace, just simply go to download page. And now we need to change the color. Look at the background color of this anchor tag. This is blue. So select this background color and then press Ctrl and H in VS Code, which is the find and replace, and just replace this with the color FFC26D. This is our orange color. Okay, click on this replace all. That's it. Save this, and now just go back to our route. Cool. Just remove this HTML. Instead, we need to call a function which is the create email template. That will return me the template. And we need to pass some data. So press Ctrl and space. So first one is the email from, and then the second one is email to. I don't need this email to. The second one is download page link. So just copy this. I have the download page link, and the third one is file name and the file size. So file name is the, I guess, file name is the file name and the file size. That's it. Save this, and now just call the last function, which is this one, this transporter.send email. So at the fifth step, just call this function and just pass the options. So mail options, we have just created this data, and then at the second parameter, I'll get a function. So async, the first value of this callback function is the error, and the second is the information. Let's create an arrow function. Cool. Do I need this await? Await has no await on this expression. Oh, we don't need this await. We also don't need this info variable. Cool. Okay, so if anything goes wrong, just check this first. If I have the error, just log out the error. I told you this is a long part, and then just return the response with a status code 500, and then just send the JSON, something like server failed or server error. Okay, and then after this if block, I need to do my sixth step, which is the save the data and send the response. So just save the data. I have my file object, right? So file dot sender, it should be email from, and then file dot receiver, it should be the email to. That's it. And now just save the object. So await, we have just updated the file. Await file dot save, call this. That's it. And then we just need to return the response. So return response with a status code 200 at last, with a message email sent. Finally, save this, and now something is wrong here. What is that? File name doesn't exist, or what? Oh yeah, it should be file name. Cool. And now just check out the functionality. So just restart the server because you have just messed up with the .env file. Okay, just restart the server, clear, npm run dev. Great. Meanwhile, just open the Postman. Oh no, actually I'm using Thunder client for the last few days, and this is really cool, huh? Light Postman alternate. So create a new request to localhost 8000, I guess. Just grab the endpoint. Just put the URL here. The localhost 8000 /API/file/email. Cool. It should be a post request. And then the body. Here I just need to pass the ID. Oh, just select the JSON. And then let's get the JSON data. So the ID is a file ID. So let me just copy an ID. This one. Copy this and then put it here as a string, and then the email from, which is, let's say, I don't know, abc@gmail.com. I'll get this file in the spam folder because of this email ID. And then this email to, which is sumit.unt@gmail.com. I guess that's all. Click on send and let's see. Error, no error. Oh, look at this email sent. Really? Just look at the Gmail. All mail, just refresh. Oh, I don't have an email. Just look at the spam folder. Inside the spam folder, look at this. I have this ABC, and I told you that because of the email ID, I'll get the file inside the spam folder. Okay, I have this abc@gmail.com shared a file with you, and then the name of the file, then the size of the file, and then this go to download page. Click on this, and yep, it's working fine. Click on this download. Aha, great. So that's it for this part. In the next part we are going to add the functionality from our front end. So see you in the next part. And by the way guys, it's 2:34 AM, so if the video helps you, please hit the like button. Please show some support. Okay, so see you in the next video. Bye. In the last part we have implemented this email section in the back end, and now it's time to implement this in front end. So basically we are going to create this component, and this is really simple. So let's go to the front end, go to a client folder, and then inside this client folder, let's create a component. So inside this component, let's create a new file which is email form.tsx. Fine. So let's create a functional component, rfc. Nice. I'll get the ID as the property. So ID, just destructure this. Also set the type of this ID. So just use functional component. This email form is a functional component, should be auto imported. Fine. Inside this generic, just define the ID, the type of the ID, which is a string. Cool. Now inside this div, let's put a h3 which says you can send your file directly through email. You can send the file through mail. You can also send the file. Cool. And then after this h3, I'll put a form. Let's use the emit, and then inside this form I'll have two input. So input into 2, and then a button. Fine. Oops, what happened? And then just press tab. Nice. So the form has no action, but it has a class name. So just use this multi-cursor and use class name for all the elements. Cool. I'll add this later. And then the input type is email. So this is email, not email. In the placeholder for the first one, this is something like email from, or in capital. And the second one is email to, the sender's email and the receiver's email. And both the field is required. So again, just use required using the multi-cursor. Fine. I'm also going to create the state, so just use this onChange function, which will trigger an arrow function using this event, and that will set the state. So let's say the name of the state is email from. I have not created the state yet. I'm going to create this in a minute. So just set the value as e.target.value. That's it. And then the value is, we have done a lot of stuff. The value is email from. The second one should be email to. So just use email to. Nice. And then the button, which has a text email. Fine. Let's create the states. Let me just close this terminal. Fine. So use state should be auto imported. The first state is email from, and the initial value is null. Import the use state. Cool. Let's duplicate this. The second one is this email to. So email to. Fine. Save this. Cool. And now all the errors are gone. I'm also going to create a state which will hold our response message. So this is not email to, this is message. Like email is sent, or something went wrong, or the email is already sent. I have not implemented a feature for the email is already sent. I need to do that in the refactoring part. Anyway, so set message, this is also null. Let's make this null. Cool. So that's it for now. I need to style this form. Before that, let's render this component. So let's go to the index page or home page. Cool. So I have this email form here inside this div. So just remove this comment and render this email form. Why is it not giving me suggestion? I have not exported this or what? Now I have exported this, then why it is not giving me suggestion? Email form. Cool. Let's go to index page. Email form. What the heck? Just manually import this. Something went wrong. I don't know what it is. So this should be email form from email form, and there is no error. It means it is good. And now there is a TypeScript related error, and that is because I have not passed the ID. So just pass the ID, which is the ID. Fine. And by the way guys, I have this ID stored in my state variable. This one, this ID and the state ID, which I got using this handle upload function. Anyway, and now let's see. My backend is also running, so let me just upload a file. This one, upload, and yeah, I have my form. So let's design this. Just go to the email form component and add some tailwind. I love tailwind. So just go to this wrapper div and add class name. This should be a flex container. The flex direction should be column. Items horizontally centered, so item center, and then justify content also centered. With full, I'll add padding around 2 units, and then space between the items is around 3 units, so space y3. That's it for this div. Just copy all these classes. I also need these classes for this form, so just use these classes inside this class name. Cool. And then this input. So just use multi-cursor for this input. You can also use tailwind components. So first of all, I'll add padding around 1 unit, and then the text color should be white, background gray, the weight is 700 or 800. Just add a border, so border 2 pixel, the color should be white by default, and on focus I don't want any outline, so outline none on focus. That's it for this input. And then I have this button, and I have already created this tailwind component for this button, so just use button. That's it. Just save this. That's it. Also add the type of this button, which should be submit. So submit. Fine. Now just save this and let's see. Yeah, cool. Nice form, huh? And now let's add the functionalities. So yeah, just go at the top. Basically I need to make an access request to the endpoint, and that will give me the response. So just use an arrow function. The name of the function is handle email. I don't need any parameters, but this function should be asynchronous. So just use async. Cool. Use a try catch block. Cool. Inside this try block, just use axios, and that should be auto imported. Yes. You just need to pass an object, which is the method is post. Cool. And then URL. If I remember correctly, this is API/files/email, and then the data. So just pass an object. I just need to pass the ID and then the email from, which is a state, and the email to. And I guess you have added a validation because I forgot to add the validation. And now just destructure the data. Before that, just use await because it will return promise. So const destructure the data. Cool. And if it is successful, I'll set the message to the data.message, mon data.message. And if anything goes wrong, just copy this, the set message. I'll set the message as error.data.response, which will be my response.message. Fine, save this. And now just call this function when the button is clicked. Or you can do this here, or I have used the form. So just use onSubmit on this form and pass the reference of this function. That's it. Save this. And I think everything is fine. Oh, not fine. I need to render this message. Yeah. Where to render? After this div? Yeah, after this form. So, no. If I have the message, I render this message inside a span or paragraph. It's a paragraph because this is a block element. Doesn't really matter because the flex direction is column. Anyway, just render the message and then just use this cool class name, which is font medium. Fine. Also make the text red, which is not needed, but text red 500. Cool. Save this, and now let's check the functionality. Just go to the email from, this is, let's say sumit123@gmail.com, and the to, this is sumit.unt. unt means use and throw. So gmail.com, and now click on email. Oh, hey, I need to prevent the default behavior. Wow. So just go inside this handle email form, and this is because I've used the onSubmit, I know. So just get the event as e, and then just use e.prevent default. Cool. Yeah, let's see now. Let's also open the console so that I can see the response. Let's go to network. My browser is also slow. Anyway, just upload a file. Let's say what, the finger again. Click on upload, and the file is successfully uploaded. Let's go to Exchanger, and then email from, this is sumit123@gmail.com, and then the email to, which is sumit.unt@gmail.com. click on email and email sent. But why is not there any Exchanger request? Oh, this is because I've added a filter. Got it. So my email is sent, and now just let me check the mail. Okay, look at this at the top. I have this Sumit123 file shared with you, and this is not in my spam folder, and that is because the email is kind of valid, Sumit123. Okay, so I have this template here. Click on this go to download page, and I have my file. Click on download, and it should be downloaded. Fine. So that's it for this part. In the next part, I'm gonna refactor the project, and then I'm gonna deploy the project. So see you in the next video. Bye. In this part, we are gonna deploy this Monster application, this beautiful Monster application. So the front end will be deployed on Vercel, which is also the creator of Next.js, and the backend will be deployed on Heroku, this beautiful Heroku. And I've also created a cheat sheet, kind of cheat sheet, where I have defined all the steps. So if anything goes wrong in your deployment, just look at this file. I'll put all the comments here. Okay, and of course I'll put the file in the description box. Fine, so let's do it step by step. Okay, at the first step, we need to create two GitHub repositories, one for the front end and one for the back end. Cool. Just go to your GitHub and create two repo, one for the back end. As I have created this share file YouTube for the back end, I have not done anything. And the other one is share file front end for the front end. Fine, now let's see the next step. The next step is focus on back end. Okay, just look at the server directory. Inside the server directory, we need to do all the stuffs now. So the primary step is clear all the unnecessary logs and check the environment variables. So just look at all the files and remove all the unnecessary logs. By unnecessary log, I mean if you think any log is harmful for the production, just remove that. And then we need to check the env variables. Just look at the server.ts. We have already configured all the env variables, so we don't need to do anything. And then check the tsconfig for the out directory. Okay, just look at the tsconfig file of the server. Fine. Here just look at this out directory. This is set to dist, dist. It means after building this project, all the JavaScript file will be stored inside this dist folder, this dist. This is needed for the next step. So just look at the next step. Go to package.json and add build and start script. Okay, just go to package.json of server. Cool. Here inside the scripts, I need to add two more scripts. So just duplicate this 2 times. Cool. So second script is build, and this will build our project. So the command is only tsc. This tsc command will see this tsconfig.json file, and here we have defined this out directory as dist, so it will build the project to this folder. And then the next script is start. So just run our app. We need to run the app using the node, so node, and then inside this dist folder I have the server.js file. Look at this, this is JS, because after building the project all the files will be converted to JavaScript. Just remove the comma and save this, that's it. And then see the next step. Delete packagelog.json if the file exists. So just look at your directory, and if you see the packagelog.json, just delete that, because it may create some problem in build. Okay, fine. Let's see the next step. Log into Heroku. Now the fun begins. So just go to heroku.com. If you don't have an account, just sign up. I already have an account, so just click on login and also connect to your GitHub account, because it is needed for the CI/CD pipeline. Anyway, so I'm redirected to this Heroku dashboard. Fine. Click on this new. We need to create a new app, so click on this create new app. Fine. Just give this app a name. So share file backend. Cool. Choose a region, United States is fine. And then click on this create app, and that's it. Good job. Let's see the next one. Log into Heroku, done. Create new app, done. Install Heroku CLI. This is very amazing. So now you need to install a Heroku CLI. So just visit this page. I'll put this link in the description box. Here you can see the process of installing the Heroku CLI. So this one for the Mac OS, this one for the Windows, this one for the Ubuntu. I'm using Windows, so just click on this 64-bit installer. I've already installed that, so I don't need to do this. So just install the CLI and then just check if the CLI is installed or not. Go to terminal. Also change directory to server. Fine. And here just check if the Heroku is installed or not. So Heroku, login. Okay, press any key to open the browser. Enter. Okay, so this page is open. Click on this login. And in this whole process, if you don't see any error, it means everything is fine. Now we can go to our next step. Initialize Git and add the Git remote. Okay, so Git init. Fine. Stage the file for commit. So Git add dot. And hey, by the way, create a git ignore file and add the node modules. I mean, I'm sure you're gonna do that. Fine. So now just commit the file. So git commit -m and flag m prepared for deployment. Enter. Fine, my branch is up to date, clear. And now just add the remote URL. So go to your GitHub repo. Actually copy these last 3 lines. So just rename the branch to main and then just add the remote URL and then push the code to the main branch. So just copy these 3 lines of code and go to terminal and paste. Fine. Enter. So my code is being pushed to the main branch. Fine. And then The next step is add Heroku remote to the Git. Okay, so for that we need to find the comment, and where is that? Just go to your Heroku app, inside this deploy tab, click on this deploy, and then scroll down, and you should see this text, existing Git repository. So for existing repo, simply add this Heroku remote. Just copy this comment, Heroku Git remote with the flag A CR file backend, and paste it here. Fine. So it means that our server repo is connected to the Heroku app, and it also means that now I can add CI/CD pipeline with the GitHub. Okay, so just go to Heroku app again. So just scroll up, inside this deploy, look at this deployment method. Here click on this connect to GitHub, and then find your repo. So CR file or something like that. Yep, CR file YouTube backend. This one is my repo. Click on connect. That's it. Look at this, choose the branch to deploy. So this is listening to the main branch. So it means that every time you push the code to the main branch, it will start the deployment. So enable automatic deploys. Click on this. That's it. Fine. Look at the message. Automatic deploys from the main branch are enabled. Fine. And then just scroll down. Look at this. You have this button to deploy the app. But wait. We have not yet configured the environment variables. Let's do that. So for that, just go to settings. Here just scroll down and look at this reveal config variables. Click on this, and then you can set the key and the value. But you can also do this from the command line interface. So just go to command line interface, clear the terminal, and then just add the configuration variables. So the command is Heroku space config :set, and then the format is this one, this key equal to value. Okay, no space. Look at this, there is no space between the key and the value. So key equal to value. Let me give you an example. Just go to env. So you need to set up this Mongo URI. Just add the Mongo URI equal to, there is no space, again I repeat, there is no space. Just pass the value, paste it, and enter. It is restarting the app. You can also see this in the UI. So just go to Heroku and then refresh the page, and you should see the Mongo URI. Reveal config bars, and look at this, I have this Mongo URI. Fine. And now just add all the variables. Let me just quickly add those. So Cloudinary API key. Again, the command is Heroku config set, but you can add multiple variables. Let me show you. So Cloudinary API key, let me just add the key. Fine. Okay, this one is first variable. Then put a space for the second variable, the Cloudinary API secret equal to the secret. Then the next one, again put a space. API cloud is equal to the API cloud key. So like this, just add all the variables. But what about this API based endpoint client? We have not deployed the client yet, so we don't have the client URL. So just leave that. We are going to come back to this app after the deployment of the front end. Don't worry. Just add all the other variables. So put a space, send in blue, and press enter. Let me add the SMTP variables quickly. So again git config :set, enter. Oh, this is not git. What the heck is git? It should be Heroku. Fine. Enter. Beautiful. Clear the terminal. Nice. Let's check this. In my Heroku, refresh the page. Scroll down. Reveal config vars. Yeah, I have all the variables set. Great. And now the last step, which is the deploy. Now there are two ways to deploy the project. First one is from the UI. So just go to a deploy. Click on this deploy and then scroll down. You have this button to deploy this branch, or you can deploy this from the CLI. So just go to a CLI. Inside the CLI, just type this command git push Heroku main. Don't worry, I'll put all these comments inside the cheat sheet, and then press enter and look at this. So basically I'm pushing the code to the main branch, which is connected to Heroku, so it will build our project. npm install done, it is building the project. Look at this, a comment, this is tsc, wait, tsc, verifying deploy, and this is done, and it has given me this URL. So let's press Ctrl and click, and cannot get slash, this is fair enough. Let's go to /API /files, any random ID, I should see an error. Yeah, server error. You can also see the logs. So go to Heroku CLI, open a new terminal. Don't need to open a new terminal. Just clear this terminal, and you can see the Heroku logs using this command, Heroku logs --tail, and then the app name using the app flag. So -a, the app name is, let me just copy, this is CR file backend, so just copy this and put it here, press enter, and look at this, I have all the logs. Look at this, server is listening to 440, our database is connected, so connected to database, and then the first request is on slash, which is 404, and then this API file /34333, sorry 35433, whatever. Let me just zoom in, fine. And now let me just upload a file and test the endpoints. So let's go to Postman, click on this upload a file of this CRME. I have already configured this. Inside this body I have this my file, which is a file, and then it's a post request, but the URL, hey, just grab the URL, buddy. Just copy this from the URL. Okay, just put it inside this Postman. Fine. So this is API /file /upload, the endpoint, and then press enter. Let's see, sending request, and good, look at this, I got a response. This is 200. Also look at the logs here, API file /upload, this is status 200. Fine, you can see this response is undefined. This is because it should be the client side endpoint, right? But the client side endpoint is not yet configured, so this is undefined. And now it's time to deploy the front end. Hey, we have successfully deployed the backend. Good, just close this. Control C, clear, fine. And now just go to front end. So inside this client folder, let's see the steps. Okay, we have tested the APIs by uploading a file in Postman. Good. And then just focus on front end. Clear the unnecessary logs and check the env variables. Again, just go to client. Okay, again just remove all the unnecessary logs, and then just see this env.local. Okay, I don't have any variables, right? But we need to put the base endpoint of the API. So for that, let's grab the base endpoint. Let's go to the URL and copy this https /whatever crbackend.herokuapp.com/. So let's grab this and create a new variable, something like API endpoint, and put it here. You know what, just make this API base endpoint, and then just go to a download page where I am making a request to the backend. Inside this pages, inside this download, let's go to index.tsx. Now I can zoom out, I guess. Zoom out. Okay. Now we need to replace this HTTPS 8000. So let's remove this, also a slash, and put a dollar and curly brace, and this is process.env.api base endpoint. Just save this, fine, and then just copy this. I also need to replace this request from the download, yeah, this one, this handle download. So let's replace this with this one. Something went wrong, and that is this multiple double tick. Fine, save this. But here is the problem. If you want to access the environment variables from the client, you need to add next public as the prefix. What I mean by that, just go to env.local and duplicate this variable, but this time just add next underscore public so that it can be accessible from the client side. Okay, now just copy this and replace this one. Fine. From the server side, this is absolutely fine. this API base endpoint and whatever. Now just go to underscore app. Here look at this, I have this base URL. Also replace this. So this is process.env.next public API base endpoint. And by the way guys, I don't need this base endpoint inside this request. So just remove this because this is from the client side and it can access the default Axios base endpoint. So just save this. Fine. Save all the files and now just push the code to the GitHub. So for that, just go to your GitHub. Just copy the last 3 lines. Okay, just go to a terminal. Come on guys, you know how to push the code to the GitHub. Clear. Expand. So just go to a client first, cd ... and then client. Cool. Stage all the files. Git add dot. Fine. And then git commit. Prepared for deployment. Oh, hey, prepared for deployment. Fine. Clear the terminal. And now press all these 3 codes and enter. So I'm pushing the code to the main branch. Fine. If I now refresh the GitHub, I should see my codes. Beautiful. And now just go to Vercel. Just create an account with a GitHub and then click on this new project. I don't need any clone template, but I need to connect my app to the GitHub repo. Yeah, here it is. So share file UI2 frontend. Just click on this import. And that's it. This is my personal account, select. Okay, fine. The project name share file YouTube frontend is fine for me. Root directory / fine. Build and output setting. Click on this. The build command is npm run build, which is absolutely fine. And then this environment variables. Now here's the thing we need to do. So the variable name, what is that? Just go to my file, go to my env.local. Okay, this is API base endpoint, right? Just copy this and put it here, and then the value, this one, this share file backend herokuapp.com. Just copy this and put it here. Add. Fine. Let's add the next one, which is this next public, so that I can access this from the client side. And you know what is the worst part of this deployment? This is 2:25 AM. Like there is a code which is don't deploy your project on Friday. If you do that, you can enjoy the weekend. Click on this add. Fine, encrypted, and then click on this deploy. Scroll down. I guess this is done. Great, your project has been successfully deployed. Click on this visit. And here is my app. The color is different. That is because I've added the dark mode. Let me just remove this extension off. Look at this. I have my app. Let's upload a file. Let's see. Upload this. Click on upload. And yay! My file is uploaded. Look at the URL. This is undefined. So let's change this. So just grab this URL, which is our base endpoint, and then just go to Heroku app. Just go to Heroku, and here click on the settings. Click on this reveal config vards, and then just add the value. And what is the key? The key is API base endpoint underscore client. Okay, click on this add, and this is added. Fine. And by the way guys, the Vercel app is also configured with the CI/CD. It means every time you push the code to the main branch, this app will be redeployed. Now let's try to upload a file. Refresh the page. Okay, upload a file. LinkedIn cover. Click on upload. And now look at this. I got a new URL. Copy this and open a new tab and put it. Enter. Fine, your file is ready to be downloaded. Click on download, and my file is downloaded. So our app is working fine. So that's it for this video. In the next video, I'm going to refactor the project and wrap up the project. So bye, and hey wait, if you face any error, I am always there for you. Bye. Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. In the last part we have successfully deployed our MERN stack app, and in this video we are going to refactor the project. Okay, so I have also listed down some of the points. Here's my list. I need to do some stuff in the front end and do some stuff in the back end. Okay, so this will be a really short video. Let's just do it. So the first bug is in the Dropzone component. Let me show you. Inside this Dropzone component, let me just drop a file. Fine, click on upload. It's uploading perfectly fine. And now if I just click on this upload new file and now just drop a file, let's say again this video stats. Now look at this. I have not clicked on this button, but it is still showing uploading. So this is a bug. I need to reset this button state. So for that, just go to the home page, index.tsx, and here inside this reset component function, I need to reset the upload state. So I've just commented that out. Let me just uncomment this. Fine. This should be set upload state, which is upload again, as this is upload at the initial state, right? So now just save this and let's see. Refresh the page. Okay, let me just select a file. Cool. Click on upload. Uploading. Fine. Click on new upload again. File. And now look at this. It is upload. Click on upload and it is uploading. Fine. So the first bug is killed. And let's see the next one. And by the way, this bug was found by Saurabh, one of my subscribers. Thanks for the community. Okay, next one is environment variable, which is localhost 8000. Yeah, so just go to env.local on the client. Okay, here as this API based endpoint environment variable, I have set this to https CR file backend Heroku app, which is not technically right, because in the development mode it should be a localhost 8000. So let me just replace this with the localhost 8000. Put it here, remove this temp. Fine, and then see the next one. Remove tailwind CSS from underscore app. Yep, so just go to underscore app.tsx. Here I have accidentally imported this tailwind CSS / tailwind.css, which is not needed. So I can just remove this, and that is because in my global CSS I have imported all these tailwind directives. Okay, so I don't need that the junk file, the junk CSS file. That's it for this one. Let's see the next one. Okay, tailwind color. So let's go to the home page and look at the border color. The border color is white. I want this orange. So just go to tailwind config file. Just go to tailwind config file. Actually the problem is I have put a wrong hex code. Like F3, F7, FD is not right. It should be FFC26D. And just put it here. Fine. Save this and now just refresh the page. You should see a better UI. It should be yellow or orange, whatever. Yeah, fine. It looks much better. Let's see the next one. I guess I'm done with the front end. Yeah, I'm done with the front end. Now just go to back end. I need to add the validation on email endpoint. So just go to the routes, server/routes/files.ts. Here inside this email post endpoint, I need to add the validation. This will be a really simple validation. I'll be just checking if any of these fields are null or empty. I'll return this with a status code 400. Bad request. So if this is not ID or not email from, come on my VS code, and then not email to. If this happens, I respond with a status code, return a response with a status code 400, and the message is all fields are required. Message, all fields are required. Fine. So that's the first one. Let's see the next one. Okay, just check if the email is already sent or not. And how can we check this? Just go to the file model. Here we have defined two extra fields, which is sender and the receiver. So if the sender field is not empty, it means the file is already sent. So let's do that. After this files.ts, here after getting the file, I'll be checking this file.sender field, and if the field is not empty, it means the file is already sent with a status code 400. So save this. And now just go to .env.local again. I should have also changed this one, which is next public API based endpoint. I have not done that. So just make this also HTTP localhost 8000. Save this. Fine. And now we have another bug in my front end, and that is just go to the email form. Here after getting the message, it should not be error.data, it should be error.response.data. Fine, just save this, and now just check the functionality, refresh the page, drag and drop a file, click on upload. Fine, email from, just put any random ID which is gmail.com, and then email to, which is again any random.com. Click on email, and the email is sent. Click on email again, and this time it is showing file is already sent. Beautiful. And let's see the next one. I guess I'm done with the refactoring. Yep, I'm done with this. Oh, responsive layout. And now I'm leaving this up to you. Just try to figure out how to make this page responsive. This is around 4 or 5 lines of Tailwind CSS code. And in case if you can't figure out how to make this page responsive, I'll put this code in the description box. Please check those out. Okay, so that's it I guess for this project. That's it for this project, but that's not the end of this video. And that is because now if you just push the code to the main branch, it will automatically deploy your project. For the front end, let me just open the terminal. And both the front end and the back end is wrapped with the CI/CD, so don't worry. Just push the code to the main branch again, git add dot for the client, git commit, refactored or something like that, refactored, cool. And now git push, and that will push my code to the main branch as I'm on the main branch. Fine, now just go to server, again git add dot, git commit, refactored again, refactored, and now just git push. It will push my code to the GitHub, and as the GitHub is connected to the Heroku, and the Heroku server will be redeployed. Fine, close this. So after 2 or 3 minutes, you should see your updated project. Cool. So that's it for this video. That's it for this project. If you have finished the project, please let me know. I'll be super happy. So yeah, see you in the next video with another exciting project. Till then, bye.